Craig, with you here, we have a quorum plus one, so that would be perfectly acceptable to have you vote again tonight. I have not heard from Sean indicating whether he'd be present or not.
No, I hurt his back yesterday,
Oh, he did?
lifting a gas cylinder for a welder.
Oh, nice.
Starts to get old.
Okay, it is time, it is 7 o'clock straight up, we should bring this meeting to order. We do have a considerable amount of business to attend to, and with several applicants here tonight. I guess I would propose that we handle the minutes after doing the other business, is that acceptable?
Since we have so many minutes to get through as well.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think that'd be prudent.
Okay. That way we don't waste all of your time. Okay. First up, Gary, do you have a copy of the agenda?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the first one is Joe Pelletier. Is she coming up? Is she?
No, okay, what, you guys remember we had the Rockwood Shores development and all
Yes.
that, and the lots 1, 2, and 3 on West Road were approved. I believe that was last year. And what we have on right now is for access is this one has its own, is allowed to put a driveway in here, and these other two we're supposed to access off Rockwood Drive.
John, can I just pause just for a second?
Sure.
Have you met Craig yet before? Craig Alexander?
No, I
He's
haven't.
he's an alternate on the planning
I
board.
know, I was teasing a minute ago.
So just to make sure you're oriented as to where this goes, up on the west road after you if you go from the church towards Sunset Grill, after the Suttons, go a little bit more
Right.
on the left-hand side.
East-West Lane Estates is right here, and then my house is right here.
Does that kind of help orient where we are?
And this is an inch is 200 feet. This is like a really large piece of property. And so we had divided into 3 lots of 16.9 and basically 16, 17 acre lots. These 3. And so we've not been able to, we've had people look at them and they're very apprehensive about the accessing off here and having to join the road association, because this thing goes on and on and on for like almost 2 miles. Well, it's 7,800 feet to the water, to the T, and then it goes this way 2,500 feet. And they're just at the very, very beginning. And so they have a voting formula, voting rights for the voting rights would be essentially, you know, if the other group decided they wanted to, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, raise the rates and change the formula, they wouldn't have any real say.
So their say is based on, sort of proportional to the amount of road frontage they have? Or whether they access the road at all, and how much road, how far they are from the beginning?
Yeah, and those down there are, and the other thing is that these are, they're very expensive homes, and they're real, whereas this would be obviously more affordable housing, and they're just really apprehensive, and I don't think we can sell these lots based, those two, based on that. It doesn't appear we can at any reasonable number.
Is the fee that they pay for the road maintenance based on, like, do they pay as much as somebody living down here? Or is that part of the problem?
No, but
or is it proportional to
it's a proportional thing based on acreage. They come up with this acreage formula, and
So these guys might pay more than this guy?
well, no, they're a lot less. No,
Okay.
I don't want to mislead you in any way. No, it is substantially less, but it's not so much that as it is that they're just very uncomfortable with it. We've had several potential buyers like the land and don't want to put a home in there. So, and I talked to Joe Allen, the broker, and she's talked to others in that group, and they all said the same thing. That this one I've got a verbal commitment on. So I'm just, what I Now again, this is an inches 200, so that's 428 feet, 427 feet, and that's 350 feet. It doesn't look like much in that picture, but that's all, you know, and all we want to do is put a driveway on each one of those, two driveways.
Too bad, because this has a natural access point right about there where they blew out this, the stone wall
Yeah.
initially, and actually there's a clearing there.
Yeah. And,
Rich, do you have a copy of the subdivision ordinance in your book? I didn't bring one.
I mean, I didn't anticipate the problem, but I could have sold it
I know.
3 or 4 times.
Was that a planning board condition? Was it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, we could put a road in the middle here, and service 2 lots. That's a possibility. It is a driveway,
Sorry.
but that's it.
Yeah, Gary, we did, and I think I was the one that raised it because I can't remember what the ordinance says, frankly, but I know the comprehensive plan encourages the planning board not to approve any more access points to roads than is absolutely necessary, mostly for traffic concerns. But I'm not really sure where to look. Keep on going, don't wait for me.
Well, that's all I have. I mean, it's as simple as that. You know, this is it's a rural road and not a lot of traffic on it. You know, in my mind, 427 feet, that wouldn't be to put a little driveway in the middle of that, I don't see it as really hurting much myself. But this one's 350. But if it was 100 feet, you just real close. But, you know, it's a fairly large piece of property.
Now, these are lots here.
This is that other development, the other one there,
Yeah.
east-west, the east-west road, that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
back up there. And, so that's just a request to do one there, one there. Driveway.
You want to do,
It's a straight section too, I mean, that's a straight,
you want to do them like here and here?
just one there and one there, that's what we like to do.
And then we get more onto West Road.
And, I mean, it's not
That's-
even a hill, you know, it's a nice run. It's long straightaway hillside.
Yeah,
Mm.
people go
Not
about
a
70 miles an
blind
hour there.
corner.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a place to try to walk your dog.
That's all. And you guys did the right thing. I mean, I think we all came to terms with this, and there was some language someplace that, and I was trying to be agreeable and say, let's do it, but it's not work. I'm afraid I don't own this forever.
Trying to think back, one was, this is a fairly recent, dealing with this, wasn't it?
This says
What's that?
14, this was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Doesn't seem that.
Yeah,
long.
no, it was that much fun.
Oh, I didn't. That's
Yeah.
last year. It was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You
Time
enjoyed
flies.
yourself so much.
So have these lots actually been on the market for
Oh,
that
yeah.
2-year period?
Yeah, 2 years, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's exactly right. And we, you know, and the other thing, these guys know, an awful lot of this, okay, well, good things happen. An awful lot of this land went to common preserve, you know, and then we were able to sell at a bargain rate, not that that matters, these 2 lots here to the homeowners association. So you've got this whole section here, which is a lot of land, which won't ever be developed.
Yeah.
Including this one. Oh yeah, they bought this one, and this one in that arrangement we made since, because originally we had 5 lots, originally this last 2 years. So that the homeowners want all that. And that, my
Did they
understanding,
do anything special with these lots in terms of
I think they're putting that in,
undevelopable or whatever?
I believe that's going to, they're putting that into common preserve, you know. So-
Well, let
You
me,
looking for a particular?
yeah, I was.
Are you in general standards, George, or?
Street design standards on
What-
page 39.
Okay, I wasn't quite there yet, so I'm glad you got there before I did. I was. Okay, street design standards
So,
11.2.
under B, it reads, where major subdivision abuts, and this was originally a major subdivision, abuts or contains an existing or proposed arterial street, no residential lot may have vehicular access directly on
To the
to
arterial.
the arterial street.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
I'm trying to figure it out myself.
First,
I'm not-
it doesn't say the subdivision, you know,
Where? But.
I mean, I'd like to argue that this is the real subdivision down here. And all this is common land that's wanted to preserve, so I mean, the real this is like a unique situation to me. And the other thing is that the land that they want to build on
what
is
is their
right
definition
there.
is?
You know, it's the highest
You would
land
think so, wouldn't you?
by far, so they don't, that's been the interest is right within a couple hundred feet of, you know, a few hundred feet of that road.
Must be in the front.
Yeah, page 6.
For arterial street?
Of course, arterial road isn't defined. Okay.
Try the road.
Give a state definition of arterial street. An arterial road, whoops, says select a wireless network.
What's that?
It says select a wireless network.
Arterial street, a major
didn't wanna-
thoroughfare
yeah.
which serves as
Yeah.
a major traffic way for travel between.
Deliver
three
traffic from a collector
municipalities.
roads to freeways. That makes good sense. You can show these guys. Thank you.
Got the board back there, so I Googled the arterial road.
Okay, that's
We got- we
pretty,
got
yeah.
that.
Pretty simple
We
there.
got it, yeah, we found it. Arterial street, a major thoroughfare which serves as a major traffic way for travel between and through the municipality. The following roadways shall be considered arterial streets: Route 27, Route 8, Route 11, Route 135, Narrows, Castle Island Road, and Wicks Mills Road.
I wonder why. Is that a state numbered road?
No,
Why that?
Wings-
West Road.
Is West Road listed on that?
That's because
West Road's not.
no,
listed.
it's not.
That's because it goes from one town to another. It goes from Belgrade to Mount Vernon.
Right.
The West Road doesn't do that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, it's all interior. Let's read this again, where the major subdivision abuts or contains an existing or proposed arterial street. West Road isn't one. So I don't see anything that prohibits us from approving that. Unless you saw something, Peter.
I have not yet. Now, when I was thinking back to the original decision to have this go forward as we did, what came to my mind was we were thinking, I think that these people would be going here.
You guys did the right thing. I don't have any problem with planning board on what you required. I thought you were very fair to me and, or to us. But, anyway, so, and I gotta tell you something, I'm proud of this whole thing. You guys know that we've been through this.
Right.
And I tried to get them to buy these 3 lots and, but, so they have the whole thing. You know, preserve all that land and try to.
Yep.
So I got to buy these and this, so they got all that.
Yep.
And, I mean, you know, reduce very fair rates, but I really would like to sell these 3 lots. And this one I have to get verbal on it because of the access, but but they're telling me that they want, this is the land up higher, that they desire more, which makes sense, you know, where they would build a home.
Yep.
So-
I guess probably there's not a whole lot of incentive for these people to modify the association agreement or whatever
Charter or
to,
whatever. Bylaws, I guess.
yeah, to make it easy, make it less troublesome for a buyer of lot 2 and 3. I would assume
Yeah.
if their thinking is that we really don't want those lots developed, there's no incentive.
No, it probably isn't. Is that sort of the mindset? Yeah. I got the impression last time.
I just- Yeah, yeah, it's been 2 years. No, we've tried. And, so, it was really a nice house lot for someone, any one of these up in the upper end. I mean, nice, 427 feet on the road.
Yeah.
And then this one's 350 and got nice high land. I've had all kinds of people wanting me when they thin it. No, we're not doing that.
Right.
You hold them up.
So this is 350 across
350 on
here,
the road
right?
there, and this is 427.
427, and then this one is,
That's right, it's 500, yeah, they had those two numbers, it's 550, is that 5?
I think it says 217, and that says 280, so.
Yeah, they're 271 and 280, so 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 271, so.
It's at 550,
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
550,
all- I mean, they think about that.
550, so think about that.
But this is a mile and a half.
Right.
It's a long way.
Yeah, so I'm concerned about anybody driving on West Road, which I think we have pretty much agreed that West Road is not considered an arterial
Right.
road by definition in the subdivision ordinance. So let's just say it's equivalent to another road. So if we're on, for example, Stevens Road, what would it be like to be driving down this road at that's posted speed limit and with a line of sight here? What is that like?
It's pretty good. It's straight.
It's a pretty straight shot, going either way.
It really is.
And the only driveway,
There's one across here or something.
yeah, the Dunham's driveway is sort of across from the property line. And then there's another driveway across from this property line. And because the Dunham's fields, or, their farm is intact still.
So I have a
There's a lot of traffic coming off the east-west lane now because this is fully developed. In fact, it's developed way down to here somewhere. There's a house way down, way down there.
Are these lots further subdividable under any?
Yes, they are.
They are, yeah.
And if I recall correctly, and please tell me if I'm wrong, there was how did we do it? We did put a limit on the size of the newly created lots.
4 acres.
Or, yeah, that's it. Minimum.
Good covenants, pretty restrictive covenants on this, about not clearing along here and then, really,
Each of those lots are around 15 acres, is that?
16 and a half, 17, but I mean, they have to come back for approval from you guys to subdivide them.
Right, yeah, no,
Lots
they
right
would,
now, it's
yeah.
just, yeah. So you'll probably see it again, no, I don't know.
Don't say
I don't know
that.
if the future's gonna break.
No, don't say anything like that, it doesn't help you, Killers.
No, I'm just honest.
Yeah, no.
That's what it is. I mean,
I mean, that's potential with any of these subdivisions with larger lots in them.
So I have a logistical question, I think, anyway. With other subdivision decisions, when there's an application in front of us, abutters are notified. Is it something like this, does that warrant that type of notification? I mean, and what brought it to mind, George, is when you mentioned the
Dunhams.
people across the
Dunhams.
street, the Dunhams, and when I was looking at this, I mean, anybody here, or anybody who would be here, who would be abutters to this.
Right.
You know, how does that apply in this case?
Yeah.
Because I've never done anything like this before.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on when you're amending a subdivision, whether that requires public, notice of the butters. And I don't know exactly where to find that, but I'll see if I can.
And just for a driveway, you might have.
Right.
Is that condition on that subdivision plan? Stated on that plan about the driveways?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess my
I'd have to
question
read
is, if you, let's just say that if you were eliminating a condition, is that a subdivision amendment?
Isn't-
The plan doesn't
I don't
change.
see anything on that, I don't see anything saying that. You know,
Right?
I mean, I
That's a
think
good
it is
point.
an amendment, but it's just a question of,
I'm just trying to be fair to the other people too.
I mean, if anybody, I'd be, surprised if anybody was upset by it. The Dunhams probably could give a hoot, and
I know when we did the subdivision, none of the abutters came, just the residents down
you know,
there.
we sent
Yeah.
calls out, we've
Me.
done that.
me. In a good way, though, I want to, in my own defense, remember her name now.
Johnson?
Yeah, Judy Johnson. She might, I mean, she'd have a driveway in her backyard, but she would have a house in her backyard anyway, so.
Well, we could keep it a long ways from property line, I could make it be in the middle, and restrict that to the middle, approximate middle of the space. Gives it flat and level and straight, with a good chance.
And maybe the answer to my question is a simple amendment does not require notifying. I just wanted to bring it up though, because,
Well, it's a good question, Peter, because obviously the basic subdivision application requires notice.
right.
Notice would, for a more substantial subdivision, like last time, that required public notice, not public notice, notice to the abutters. But since this is the only application I've dealt with since I've been on the board, I'm just not that familiar with this ordinance. Weird thing, okay.
We had a lot of, if you remember back, there were a lot of, we're almost there, and then.
Yeah.
There's enough, and then it became frustrating, to be honest with you. And, but we try to, go through all those hoops.
Just a question I have in my mind is, what in the real estate business is considered adequate time on the market before you declare you can't do it, or it's a...
Well, I'm not gonna tell you, no one would ever buy it like that, I guess I don't want to say it, but I can understand their apprehension when they're gonna use just a few hundred feet of the road, and then, if they change the bylaws or they do change the formula, then they're vulnerable to, and I'm not, it's a perception these people have, and it's been brought up repeatedly. And,
I will point out the subdivision next door that Hammonds did, there's a prohibition against access to the direct access to the West Road as a condition of that approval. That's why those lots it's smaller lots, far smaller lots.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's just.
And
strict.
short and consequently, it would be driveway, subdivision road, driveway kind of thing. So
Yeah,
different
this
scales.
is a totally different magnitude of scale.
Right.
Mhm.
I don't disagree with that.
So that's the deal. I'm at your mercy here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2 years. It's been more than 2 years.
Right, so in my head, I'm thinking like on our road, we have 70 feet or something of frontage or something, and we have a driveway that gets us to our house. And the next property is about the same, maybe a little bit more, which might be like this one. I'm just trying to run it through my head, like, how would this be any different than on my road? And I'm not seeing any
Feel
difference.
for what kind of area you got for cars and stuff.
Right, based on this, the amount of road frontage that we're talking about, where you have, where you make it applicable to have a driveway.
Right, and I go out there and look at it, and it's a long ways in each direction, so it doesn't look unsafe to me at all.
Right.
And,
The only, I couldn't really find anything about notice. There's a section on revisions to the existing plot plan, and it just speaks about it has to be, you know, submitted again with the registry of deeds and all that.
Right.
Just like the original, along with any conditions.
but it isn't written on here at any
Right.
place that says that. I know that was the arrangement, and I wouldn't go against what you guys said, but
Yeah.
it isn't written down in here that I know of.
Speaking for my dog, she would love to have a couple more posts to pee on, though.
What?
My dog would love a couple more mailboxes to pee on.
Okay. So, yeah, no, it's not, I don't think it is written down here, so I don't see it at all.
So on page 39, this is not going against what you're proposing. 39, 11.2 street design standards, paragraph E, where private roads intersect with public roads, and I'm thinking that, I don't know, anyway. Grades as site distances must be maintained in a safe manner as determined by the planning board. That's not exactly it, but it's kind of close to what a driveway is going on to a road.
Well, that could be a real point. You get a real knoll like this, and you have a driveway in a very dangerous spot, and that,
Yeah.
you could have that easily.
You could.
I've seen that situation.
I don't think that would be the case here, though, Peter, because it goes in pretty flat on both of those lots.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the biggest obstacle,
and most drawings.
really, it isn't the site distances, it's the speed that people travel on that
Right.
road.
Right.
They, I don't know, the speed limit's probably 50, I guess,
Yeah.
and people probably go 60,
Probably
65
probably
routinely.
45.
Yeah, the rural roads, I think, are supposed to be 45.
Heaven forbid it's dump
But they
day.
don't buy.
My thinking on this whole thing is, if, in my own mind, if I was convinced, and at this point, I say convinced versus, it's not like I'm against, but if I conclude in my mind that, hey, he's done a reasonable job trying to sell these, and they're not gonna sell, they haven't sold, the idea of allowing them to enter the West Road so that they're saleable, I think is appropriate. It's just in my mind, I'm thinking, is there really somebody out there who will buy these? And maybe 2 years is enough, but if I concluded 2 years was enough, and you can't sell them, then, you could develop a lot 200 feet wide, a new lot 200 feet wide, so it's not like breaking any rules. It's just,
Yeah.
the only hesitation in my mind
No,
is.
it's actually
The only thing I can add to that is, I know that, and this was during the recession, that I had seen information, has to do with commercial businesses, not residential lots, that commercial businesses were taking 2 to 3 years to sell. And DEP actually had to change some regulations regarding when gasoline stations had to be closed down as a result of being out of business as a result of that. So, Belgrade's not the Portland area by any means, so things are definitely slower here.
But Joel's point, yeah, it's been 3 seasons, because we put this on.
And there's 3 tax years, and each tax year he's losing that amount of money. I know I've lost the value of one lot in my subdivision over the years, and they just started, I've sold 3 this summer. And it's the first time since 2008 I've sold anything. So properties have been moving.
Right.
So, but again, each year he's getting taxed on those individually, and each year he gets taxed, and I can understand not wanting to be part of that subdivision road because of what is down below and the higher end, high scale people down there that, they could jack the prices up any given time, and you're gonna be caught with nothing to do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like two different worlds.
It's
This
just
is
an
one
entrance
world,
to
and
the
this is
road.
another world.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can understand that too, but it is part of the reality. You know, I mean, there's no denying that this was part of the overall game plan at one time.
Must've been we went through 3 different phases. We had the first one here,
Yep,
we had this, and then we had this.
yep.
And so, it's been 14 or 15 years since we started this deal.
Yes.
Peter,
15
my
years.
perspective on it, absent the fact that I can't find anything in the ordinance, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. I don't, if this was the initial application for this subdivision, I'd be totally opposed to having direct access of lots to the West Road. But given that a couple of years at least have passed and maybe the lots are unsellable as a result of all the things we've talked about, or at least not quickly sellable, I'm not really, and maybe most importantly, that I'm not sure this would cause a traffic hazard. As I said, the site distances are really good there, as good as you're gonna find in any road in Belgrade,
Sure.
frankly. And if this was, up by the Sutton somewhere, on that knoll or something, I would be opposed to it on safety basis, but I can't make that argument here. So I really don't have any objections myself. I'm not 100% sure what the ordinance says about it. I don't think it says anything. Otherwise, it'd probably be under those road standards,
Right.
as paltry as those standards are.
And I was just trying to find something in the municipal street and road ordinance part to see if there was anything in there.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
didn't
so. And I
find
mean,
it.
they're gonna have, whoever, obviously, just like anybody else, just like I did, they're gonna have to, get a permission from Morris to
Yeah.
put a culvert in there for the driveway.
Right,
And they're gonna have to do it to his approval.
yeah.
Um,
But,
And this was a condition put on the approval, correct?
I believe so,
Even though the planning board put it on there, I think you're kind of saying is legally, when the subdivision was created, even though you would have been opposed to it, legally, the planning board probably could have approved that subdivision in that format with the access to the road at that time. Otherwise, the condition would not have been necessary.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a gray area because the subdivision ordinance under Title 30 has to be administered and consistent with the town's comprehensive plan.
Right.
It's the only ordinance that statute applies to. And so essentially, the comprehensive plan is part of the ordinance.
right. In this
And the
case-
ordinance is pretty explicit about trying to discourage exactly this.
Right,
But, as I said, if this was the initial application, I would be opposed to it. But given the passage of time, the lack of a traffic hazard, and basically a good faith effort to try to make this, prevent, uncontrolled access to the West Road, I guess I'm willing to concede the point. I mean, when we get around to this, revising this ordinance, I think we should address this, because this is, in a different location, this could be a big issue.
yeah.
I mean, there's some individual lots that have been developed on the West Road that have 3 or more access points, and that they shouldn't probably even have one for safety's sake.
Well, we should definitely limit this to one.
Yeah, that at a minimum, so that we don't have a U.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see,
Mhm.
no question about it, I don't want to see,
Mm.
we can't have that, that's not.
But I don't know if this is where you were heading with your question, Rich, but if it was a true condition, it should have showed up on the plat plan.
Well, yeah.
Unless we just approved it as a condition and it shows up nowhere other than in our minutes,
Which we can't find.
which we can't find.
He looked for the file, and
Stony Brook.
what was missing?
R's and S's.
R's and S's are missing in part of the planning board files.
Well, that solves the problem right there. Actually, that's not a good thing, for anybody's sake.
Well, anyway, that's,
Yeah.
pretty simple, really.
My question I was thinking of is more or less an administrative or procedural question. Do we need anything formal in writing from the applicant here to do this, or can we just simply, based on verbal presentation, approve the request or whatever, if we do? I'm not trying to delay things, but I
Right.
just want to make sure we're following procedure.
Yeah, that's a
One
good-
more hoop.
Um,
I'm joking.
Yeah,
It certainly would be cleaner in terms of, so we don't lose the town files again.
Right.
In terms of a record
Mhm.
to show if, let's say, a potential buyer or a future planning board revisits this and wants to know what did the planning board do and when and why, to have a letter, I think, along with the plot plan, a revised plot plan with, if we just choose to have any conditions on an approval of an amendment, like only one point of access per lot.
yeah. I would agree. I think that some record of a request coming in that then is met with a decision by the planning board would be appropriate.
What, did you say an amended plan? Because the driveways don't show on it.
No, he's saying if we approve it.
I thought he said you need an amended plan.
Yeah, he was saying that if we
With the
approve
condition
it-
on it.
Yeah, with a condition on it.
Oh, because
that-
there's no condition on this now.
Right, yeah, and that was to my.
All I'm getting at is, to your question earlier, I think you'll find that eliminating a condition that was originally placed is not a subdivision amendment. An amendment is when you change this plan in any way, shape, or form, and it gets registered at the registry of deeds. Those conditions, if in fact it is conditioned, aren't registered with that plan at the registry of deeds.
I thought that the conditions go on the plot plan.
No, they don't. Well, they're not on here.
No, I know they're not, but that's what I've always seen in the past.
But it's not an amendment unless you gotta ask him to amend the plan so that it has that condition on it.
Yeah. Now, I wonder, last 2 years ago, or 2+ years ago, you had presented some deed restrictions with your request, and I wonder if that's, because that's where the re-subdivision, no less than a 4-acre lot
That's right.
was captured.
Yeah.
Do you know whether maybe that's where the business with where the driveways go is
I
captured?
don't know, but I don't know, but I know that, I have no problem writing a letter. I'd like to get it, I'd really like to get it approved tonight if possible, and I'll write a letter confirming, it's one, approximately in the center, one driveway, which I wanted, if that would, gladly, certainly do that. And if there's any construction has to go through you guys, and
You have to have a driveway permit, yeah.
so, but I'll make that, and I would make that very clear with the real estate broker, so there's no confusion here. I don't want to create a problem that way.
Yeah, I mean, we need to document this somehow, whatever we're gonna decide. If we're going down the path, sounds like you, Craig, might be on board, but I don't know how you're feeling, Peter, but if we went ahead and approved allowing access from the West Road on the condition of one driveway per lot, that needs to be documented somewhere, either as one of the deed restrictions or on the plot plan.
One of those lots has 400+ feet of frontage, is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, one's,
Yeah, one's
the
400
one,
plus.
the upper one is 350, this is 427.
If that's your desire, you need to be careful how you say one driveway per lot, because they could divide it this way, and then they'd each want a driveway. See what I mean?
that with 400 feet of frontage.
Oh,
But they've gotta come back into,
That'd be
Planning
one
board.
driveway.
right, yeah.
No, I know that.
one for lot 2 and one for lot 3,
Right.
really, because this one is already approved, so just, yeah, off that. Yeah, anything more, I mean, even to subdividing has to go.
So it would have to be no more than one access point for lot X and no more than one access point for lot
Yeah.
Y
That's what you.
to the west road.
Yeah, define it, so it's clearly that,
Yeah.
that's it.
This one was approved, is that right?
Yeah, that's the access for that, see, it's not on the road, it's just part of the,
As of
We allowed
today.
this one.
Right.
Yeah.
And
and this one was supposed to come in.
Yeah.
This has to, it's not joined on
Yeah, you could go up, yeah, if you went behind him, it's a full in, so you keep going straight through. You go up here, and then you also go down to the right.
What a road would be.
So we really don't know what document it all is about. I know conditions or something like that. We don't have a piece of paper that says that.
No.
It's a cloudy day. Tell it north, south, or anything, east, west.
This kind of reminds me of when on my first stint in the planning board, when, you remember Pam Murray when she was town clerk? Kind of talked like a long time. Well, she got it in her head that the town office needed some plans, so she threw out all the planning board records for, except for the last 3 years. Didn't ask anybody, didn't tell anybody.
I'm wondering if,
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if we, if tonight, if what we could do is to say that upon successful receipt of a letter from the applicant to, I don't know if amend is the right word, allow the access point, one access point for lot 2 and for lot 3.
Each.
Somewhere near the center, we don't want to have them crowded.
Right, near the center, along, the west road,
Right,
right?
right, on
So
those.
if the applicant said that type of a thing, and our decision is to
Allow it.
allow that, then we would then have a receipt of the request from the applicant. There would be, and we could also structure it to say that, because the plans would then, let's see now.
Yeah, they've been read, the counties they are recorded.
They're recorded already,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if a driveway goes here and goes here, does that mean that it has to be changed and then registered?
No, because the driveway's not shown on that plan.
Right,
So you're not gonna show it in a different location, it's just not shown. Unless you want the plan changed so has that condition on the plan,
which,
then he'd have to, and he'd have to have a new Mylar made, which gets registered and all of that.
It's always ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, didn't we have to sign a Mylar
Yeah.
I think it's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
2 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we have it all.
But it's
Percent.
identical to that.
So
It's all been signed, see.
did we kind of screw up by not having the conditions placed on it?
The subdivisions that I've seen,
So
half the time the conditions are on it, and a lot of times they're not.
I think, my guess is it's in the deed restrictions, what I'm
It's gotta
thinking,
be,
which don't, of course, get recorded. Well, not recorded with,
Not with the plan.
well, here it is right here.
unless we said it was in the minutes, which we can't
yeah.
put our hands on it.
But, that doesn't really serve the purpose, because the whole purpose is so that when somebody buys this lot, they know what they have to in turn do, so that they can't put 2, access points onto the west road, or,
Or it has to be 4 acres, that's all in the deed.
yeah,
So you see where I was going with my talking point there was, was that if we receive a request from the applicant to do these things, to allow these things, and we can structure this however we want, if we want to meet the need that you're talking about, George, to have it on the deed so that anybody who buys it knows exactly what's going on, that would then be a change to this, right?
Right.
Which would mean you would have to
Yeah.
amend that or however you
No,
want to call
it's-
it.
I would-
Sure.
Peter, what I would suggest is that we ask that it be placed in the deed restriction. That way we can avoid
Mhm.
resubmitting, redoing the Mylar, resubmitting this. I mean, it doesn't have any of the other conditions on it.
Well, yeah, why have this then?
The town can't enforce the deed restrictions, but,
I'll make sure it is. I mean, it needs to be anyway. You're
Well,
right. I don't disagree.
I think we could be fairly assured that some of these people might. We could handle it that way, that would be an option. But I agree with you, a letter indicating,
A request to allow,
yeah, along with amended deed restriction.
And are we all somewhat, let's say somewhat, are we all in agreement that we would approve?
I don't want to
The
put words in
concept,
anybody's
the
mouth.
concept, I'll buy into it.
I would buy into it, especially since we can't find anything that would prevent or would otherwise not allow that to go
Well,
forward.
it really even
in the
speaks
current-
to it.
It really doesn't. This is a new, I haven't seen anything like this before.
17 years.
Yeah.
No, 16 years. We've
Or-
been doing this.
Right, with your subdivision, and I'm
I
saying
know.
with others too, I haven't seen anything like a request for that type of thing.
I
So,
mean, if this was on the original application, as I said before, this would be a bad precedent, I think, for the town. I don't think we'd be serving the best interests of the town to allow, unless it's one of these subdivisions that just is entirely along a length of town road, and there's no internal road, but this is different circumstances as far as I'm concerned.
so do we need a motion, or do we just simply say we're gonna table this item pending the letter, we're giving him, requesting something in writing with the kind of somewhat assurance, or that we'll be supportive of the end product?
Yeah, plus the amended deed restrictions.
I'm sorry, I'd love you to vote on it so we can, and I'll confirm everything. You know my word's good on all this, and I'll get you the documentation. That would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess I'm of the mindset that we could have a type of motion that would say, precondition it to say, upon the successful receipt of a request by the applicant to do this.
I mean, the reality is you still can't sell any lots until we officially take a vote.
Yeah, I like it. I really appreciate it if you would do it tonight. I don't see a controversy. I mean, in my mind, we all understand what we gotta do. We're gonna allow one driveway in the middle of the lot, and Gary has to approve it, and there has to be another permit application for that. But I'll try to get a letter out tomorrow confirming, what we said, and
Would you be able to amend the deed restrictions in that time
I
frame?
definitely want to do that, yeah. I'll amend the deed restrictions to say that, and so anyone who goes to build in there has to come, at least go to Gary, right? And get a permit
Oh, yeah.
to do anything. I'll certainly do that. I'll do whatever you guys say I need to do, but it would be,
So if we,
Does George have in his mind a
Motion?
Motion?
It's ruminating.
Oh.
Give me a sec.
so while it's ruminating, I'm thinking that, because I'm thinking upon successful receipt of,
Yeah.
request by the applicant.
That's part of the motion, I'm thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's a deep-
who determines successful receipt? I'm thinking the CEO in this particular case. I don't know. It wouldn't be us, because we're not here to see it. We're not here to another 2 weeks. I wanna be fair to the applicant, I wanna be fair to the town.
All right, well, I was initially thinking that this upon receipt, I was thinking the planning board, because I thought we were the ones that would have to formally have a vote when the thing gets here, but is the idea that give it to the CEO, and by us voting on this motion, the motion already is sealed pending receipt of that letter. As soon as the letter comes in, then it's approved. Is that?
That's what I was thinking. And maybe we can't do that, or shouldn't do it, or.
So what am I supposed to receive? 2 deeds, a copy of 2 different deeds for each, one for each lot? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, copy of the deed restrictions.
Restrictions.
That's what I mean.
Where-
Which are on the deed, which is on the deed.
The deed restrictions, which will say only one driveway
Near the
approximately in the center
Yeah.
of the 350 and the 427.
So that's 2 separate deeds that I'm looking for, right? Anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah. And the town, I think, should be receiving a request
Oh,
to
that's
allow
right.
this to occur,
That's right.
as discussed at the planning board meeting of, October
Right.
6th.
And upon the request, after this vote, it happened. Upon the request of the letter and the deeds to Gary, that's what we voted on, and it doesn't have to come back to us. This is what the.
That's what I'm thinking,
That's fine.
But I'll give you copies of it, I'll show you those so you can make a file.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and we want to make sure our record keeping, thank you, Gary, that would be good. So, I don't know, Craig, does that make sense, doing it this way?
Sure.
Do you feel okay with
Yep.
that? Again, this is new territory, it's nothing we do
Right.
at all.
Understand.
I'm trying to keep the spirit of the intent of the subdivision ordinance intact.
Right.
As George pointed out, it also is married or tied to the comprehensive plan. We don't want to overlook that. I think we've talked about that already. I know we have.
So we move illumination from one summit?
Yeah, you can smell the smoke. So let's try this one on for size.
Okay.
Motion to approve with conditions, conditioned upon receipt by the code enforcement officer of a written request to allow access to Lot 2 and Lot 3 from the West Road, and an amended deed restrictions for these 2 lots prohibiting more than one road access per lot.
Yeah.
Per existing lot?
Per
2 and 3.
existing lot. Yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
Gary.
existing lot.
Somebody mentioned it, I'm not sure it needs to be put in here or whether it's even legally binding. Somebody said approximately in the center or something.
I can say in the
You
center.
get into approximately. and
I'll
that-
say in the center. I'll just say in the center.
Read it again, or I'll give this to you,
I'll
Nick.
second it.
You might have to.
You want to read the motion again? I'll
Yeah,
second
okay.
it.
Motion to approve with the condition, approve with conditioned upon receipt by the code enforcement officer of a written request to allow access to Lot 2 and Lot 3 from the West Road, and an amended deed restrictions for these 2 lots prohibiting more than one road access per existing lot.
I'll second it.
Very good. So it's been motioned, seconded. Any more discussion on this? I think that's a very good, concise way of doing this that expedites it so that it's not overly long-term, more so than for you, John.
Right, thank you, Gary.
That's all I have to say about it. Any more discussion? Gary, questions? You already know what you're gonna receive, right? Everybody all set?
You okay with this here?
This? All right, yeah. Sorry to, because we are burdening you with this, so.
You just handed it to me,
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
See you. All right, so all those in favor? Unanimous, yes, you. Thank you and best wishes, John.
Thank you, John.
It's nice to see you again.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
Don't come back.
Yeah, don't come back.
Wait, so I'm sure there's other business here, so I'll.
Yes, sir. There is other
you doing?
business.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
Be well.
Take care of that partner.
Yeah, take good care of that partner.
Be well.
Get it propagated.
The whole experience in the planning board has been over the years.
There's a lot to consider.
Finding the guys through the whole thing, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Hard.
All right, see you later. Drive carefully.
Yeah.
Yep, see ya. Okay, that's one down, 3 to go. Next up, Gary, got Peter's here, right? Sorry,
Yes.
Dinesh will take it away. When you left off.
Thank you, gentlemen. The last time I was here, I was coming in and applying to build a new house on an existing footprint. And we had a long discussion, I learned a lot, and I came back with the idea, I left thinking that I was gonna talk to my client, and they were either gonna push their house back to the 100-foot line and get a permit and build a house maybe next year, or they would renovate the house they have, or they would build a new house on that foundation. And what I've applied for is a application for a permit to renovate the existing house. And which we talked about, that was probably gonna be the option. So what I've submitted is a new design, and I've submitted an appraisal of the property as you requested, so that, which caps the expenditure for the renovations at 50% of the appraised value. The hardest part of all this was getting an appraiser. The appraisers are out 6 weeks right now. I called and said I had 6 days. So, and I just finished building a house for a guy that is down in Freeport who handles assigning appraisers, different appraisers. I call him the temp. But anyway, all the appraisers, he sends the work out from all the banks. The bank calls him, and so he knows every appraiser in the state, and I just built his house. Very fortunate. So I said, I need an appraiser. He said, you're gonna get an appraisal in 3 weeks. And I said, how much does an appraisal cost? And he said, $400. And I said, I'll give you $1,200. I need it in 6 days. And I want a guy local to Belgrade. So they brought this guy, a veteran appraiser. 6 days later, the thing was in my box. And that's how you got an appraisal like that. So what I've done now is I have a plan that matches a budget that would be allowed. I also in my design, when I redesigned this thing, I put a deck on the upper level, so that there is no volume, there's no screen porch, there's no roof, there's no nothing. I carved the corner off. And so that when you come out of a bedroom, you're out on a deck, which does not constitute additional volume. So I'm in fact decreasing the volume that's closer to the water than 25 feet. It makes the house right. It will work for the occupants of that bedroom, and I think it's going to be a good solution for the family. So I'm here to ask that my application that you now have in front of you, which is amended from the last time I was here, be approved so that I can move forward and get this work done. Now this means I'm gonna renovate a house on the existing foundation. I'm not tearing the house down.
Now, this appraisal, as I see it, I haven't read very far yet, but it appears to appraise the property rather than
The house.
structure.
No, the structure is appraised.
The structure.
The
It's not-
structure and see, it's hard to, we made some, he took the appraisal of the property, the house, the structure. And because he assumed a lot size based on the number of acres that were around that and how many houses there were on it. So because it's a part of a bigger plot, it does not it does not have, that house sits with some other houses, which made that part of it interesting. So he's
all
got,
a
he's got,
compound, yeah.
the house
Yeah.
in 9 acres is what he included house in 9 acres is what he included in the appraisal. The property in the.
Is the land owned in common?
Well, the whole property is owned by a trust. So there are several lots that make up the ownership of the trust. My understanding is those lots are separate. And if you read into the bylaw, into the organization of the trust, those lots are separate. And this one happens to be on either lot or 9 or lot 11. This is the,
Just
Mr.
a clar-
Alphon bought that whole property years and years ago, and then he bought a bunch of land across the road. And he bought some land later, he bought some land over by Whiting Road, or that sort of butts up to Whiting Road. And that's how that was all sort of accumulated. But it was years ago.
Just a clarification, I don't know why, but when I printed out the application, I only got the cover sheet, but but on the cover sheet, it says proposed it shows that the proposed structure would be about 5,000,
Feet,
assuming it's
right?
cubic feet in volume versus, greater than the existing structure, and that's not what you just said. so-
No, it's actually less volume. I'm not sure what you're,
It-
I'm not sure. what
Right
you're-
here, Pete, come on up.
Yeah, it's existing 35,000, proposed 40,000.
So what's being proposed is larger than the present.
So maybe that needs to be corrected.
No, that's not right. Well, hang on here. I'm actually less volume in this structure, so I don't know, I mean, the floor area and the footprint area, the structure is the same. There's we put a dormer in it, and that's not 5,000 square feet.
Jesus. Yeah.
So, and the idea was that there could be, back from the 25-foot line, if there's something that happens to the house behind that 25-foot line, that was okay, if there was an alteration made, but you can't add volume from the 25-foot line to the lake. That's what you told me when I was here last time.
Yeah, we didn't want to add any
You-
volume within 25 feet.
Well, there were not. I mean, there's that dormer's behind that, way back behind that. I put a dormer in it so we could get the bathroom in properly.
I don't either. So Gary, okay.
I wonder,
So Pete, what drawings do we have for this?
oh, wait a minute, you know what, and what Nick gave us are the drawings.
Yeah, so should we,
I see Adam Gardner.
I'm looking at,
Yeah.
I unfortunately was looking at what I printed out.
Drawings for Pete.
Yeah.
I brought them this time.
He didn't give him anything.
no, he,
No, Nick gave them to us tonight, and I just didn't, I was
Is it
looking
these?
in the
no,
wrong
these are both
section.
one to add.
I brought drawings up.
Oh, is it?
Page.
Yeah, both one to add,
Yeah.
different applications.
Oh, it is that project.
Yep.
You have the,
We just have the cover sheet and the appraisal.
when we brought when I brought the application up, the drawings for this, there's a set of drawings with it. And then
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay.
is that me?
This is you.
All right, there we go, there's the drawing.
Okay, excellent.
Here we go. So there's the survey that we looked at originally. This is the house. And this is the survey we did a number of years ago. This is more because we did this when we were working on Peter's house, his other house over there.
Okay.
But anyway, just that's the subject property. And this shows the survey markings. This is what we looked at the last time that we were here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then this is renovation option, which is what I'm planning on, this is what I'm submitting for. Right here, so this is essentially, this right now, this kitchen does this, and that doesn't exist. There's a fireplace here that we may or may not tear out. It's an enormous piece of masonry right in the middle of the house. You walk in the door, you can't see the water because this brick is like, it's huge, and the kids hate it. So they want us to tear it out, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where the table would be. So there you look out here to the water.
Yeah.
And then there's this. So this is the deck, this is this porch thing I was talking about. This is what we did to cut that corner off. Because the house remember the house sits sort of on an angle to the water, and the corner that comes by, I think it's like 4 or 5 feet.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that, there was no volume there.
And that would be like, for example, this one?
That would be,
Or maybe this one.
it would be this one, yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they use the height.
Okay.
So,
So we get turned page.
section. No, but no full basement, I just didn't turn the screen off. I'm not putting a new foundation in this thing. And then there's the image.
So there essentially be no excavation or earthworthy.
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna do is there's a layer of really crappy material under there. I'm gonna clean that out by hand, and I'm gonna put a liner on in the basement. So, the house stinks, it's full of old rotten cardboard. I don't know how the hell that got down there, but I cleaned that all off this summer. Go figure, I don't know. So this is the idea, that's
the corner.
right.
Probably was a hole that needed to be filled at one time or something.
I don't know, I mean, I'd find some stuff that's, when we renovated Mr. Alphon's house, there was these huge picture windows. And there's, enormous sliders, because you like to see the water. The whole second floor comes on in a 4x8, comes over to the front wall. There's a 2x6 nailed between 2 headers, and that was holding the whole second floor up.
A lot of nails though, right?
Oh yeah, 6 penny finish nails. There weren't any, 16 penny finish nails. That's how they built the whole house. So, I think that, it's been a lot of, I want to make sure we get this right. I think I've done everything that you guys have asked before. I learned a lot about volumes and all that sort of thing. And now I'm just gonna, then I'm gonna go, I have a meeting with him tomorrow morning. I think that I've hit the whole, done everything we were supposed to do.
The only comment I have goes back to my earlier question about the appraisal. The intent of the appraisal, 50% market value, is you take that structure and what is the market value of that structure? Has nothing to do, or should have nothing to do with whether it's 9 acres or no acres under it. Could be a structure that's part of a condo project. They don't own any land.
Right, no land.
What is the market value if you were to sell that structure, irregardless of whether there's land involved? The reason I say that, or I think is important, is I see that the appraisal says it's worth $1 million. And it's hard to believe, I haven't seen the house, but it's hard for me to believe that the market value of the structure is $1 million. It'd have to be a pretty darn, it really isn't contingent on where it is. It's, if you sold that building, even if you moved it off-site, picked the building up and said,
Well, the
what could I sell
structure's
that for?
value is based on where it is. It's 21 feet from the water on Great Pond. I mean, if they were to put that thing on the market, assuming they could ever sell it, there are very few houses that are that big, that close to the water. I think somebody would ride up here and write them a big check. I don't know, I'm not in that market. I'm not in that,
Rich,
I don't have that kind of.
I'm missing something, I think. Now that this is just a renovation project and not a deconstruct and reconstruct, why is the 50%
value still important?
Well, in some ways, I was saying that, the part that I was also gonna say is, in some ways, it really doesn't make much of a difference, because we would have, if it was to tear it down and rebuild, if they're using the foundation, same foundation, we discussed last time, we would have approved it. So in this case here, it really, in a way, doesn't matter how much you're taking down, because we would have approved tearing it all down.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is a good point, and it's something that,
It's really the volume question is what we had
That was-
Right,
talked about, the
right.
volume of anything in, closer to the lake than 25 feet. Because that other guy that was here ahead of me last time would, you know, we're
Right.
probably gonna watch this pretty carefully.
As you should.
Yeah, you know, and so I think we've got,
yeah.
you know, I think we've,
Definitely addressed that issue well, yeah.
well, I just, you know, I said, look, I don't wanna argue about a roof or what constitutes a wall. I just took it out. I said, well, how can we do this and not do it? I said, we'll put a deck out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And we would want to have this done correctly, there's no doubt. You know, it's gonna be a high visibility, project,
yeah.
and as mentioned before, comments will be flying, no matter what.
Well, we left here last time where I didn't wanna have, we didn't want my, put this board or my company in a place where somebody said that the board approved something because it was the Alphons.
Right, we
Right.
don't want
And
that.
we're not, I firmly believe that we followed the letter of the ordinance.
Right.
If there wasn't a foundation there, I'd push a little more on this valuation thing, but
I would,
with the existing foundation, we would have approved the whole new building.
I'd rather they push the whole thing back to 100 feet. I think it would look
Me
way
too.
better on the site, but they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
I just have a question about the drawings, and it may be that I'm not understanding. It seems like there's a conflict.
well, this is the floor plan, for the new house that I'm not getting approved.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm using this for these dimensions. I'm sorry, I should have
Okay,
pointed that
yeah,
out.
we need to just clarify
Yeah.
that that's not part of the
This is-
application any longer, because it conflicts with all the other drawings.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we could, and
So-
we could, I mean, it's basically is this. You know,
Yeah,
I
this
could-
is the existing,
Yeah, yeah.
but this is no longer the
Yeah,
proposed,
right.
that's the only,
Yeah.
It's okay for him to take it.
well, except for us, we need the existing portion, I
Oh.
believe.
Would you-
But you could just write on it, initial it.
That's not the proposed.
I will,
And
sure,
just initial
sure,
it.
In-
yeah.
Initial and date,
Yeah.
that'd be great. So while you're doing that, I want to get back to, and talk to the board about the application that we have here has some numbers for volume that I think they might be backwards, or somehow there's question about them. I guess I'm feeling we would need to have accurate numbers on the application for permit for us to act on it.
Well, I'm thinking about what the numbers would be, because before I put the dormer on it, there was a knee wall up there. It was a knee wall, so there was area in there that was essentially unoccupiable, because the roof came all the way down. When I put the dormer in, brought the knee wall up, I gained this
On
volume
the, away from the lake.
away from the lake.
So this
Yeah.
extra volume
That's from
here
that.
is beyond 25 feet.
Exactly,
So
it's on the
it's
other side.
accurate.
Yeah,
It's-
it is, I
You have to describe it.
understand
But it-
where we
Yeah,
are.
we just gotta be
Yeah.
clear,
Yeah. It's not, it's.
state clearly or something, or
Right.
So
some.
it is accurate.
It is accurate, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I started looking and I said, no, wait a minute, we've added the volume, which that alone isn't it, but when you realize that you're not only adding some volume for the dormer, but you're also gaining volume that you weren't counting before, because it wasn't,
It wasn't there.
it wasn't applicable.
Yeah.
Peter, one way to do this is just to state for the record, for Nick's purposes, you
Sure.
know, so it's reflected in the minutes that, you know, the additional volume is all beyond 25 feet from the lake due to a dormer
Perfect.
Yeah.
away from the lake.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Nick, did you get that?
Beyond 25 feet away from the lake?
Okay.
It's all beyond 25 feet away from the lake.
Okay, I think my plans are, yeah, these are all yours. All right, I've written on here. I wrote, oh, and I gotta sign it, hold on. Did I put the one I wrote? Here it is. Yes, I said this floor plan is not applicable to the application. Used for dimensional clarity only,
That's fine.
Oh,
right?
good.
And today is 6:10?
10, yeah, if you go
I mean,
with
10,
10-6,
10,
depends on what
Good.
continent you
Your
go by.
system.
There we go. I was still June, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that wishful thinking on your part, you think?
I don't have this.
Sort of doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, so therefore,
There you go.
we have a site plan, we have a application. I think we have some clarity on where the volume is that they're talking about.
Yep.
We have clarity on what's within 25 feet and what they're proposing to do. Within 25 feet of the water and what the applicant proposing to do. What other questions do we have?
It might be worth noting for the minutes that there's no major earth moving or excavation work
Right.
proposed, and therefore a certified contractor isn't required.
No tree cutting associated with it.
There aren't any trees around it. There's a spruce tree, but I'm gonna probably leave it right there.
To George's comment, Nick, that's important because on the application, there's no indication of a certified contractor there, so this is in sync with that comment.
You had mentioned last time, this was more in the context of a rebuild, that there was a plan to put in either some rain gardens or something of that nature. Is that
For
still?
some drainage.
Yeah.
I didn't include that in this application, but I talked to the family about it, and they thought that, that for me to come, figure out what those would be. My sense is that they're probably gonna do something, but it's not in the application.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not sure,
required.
given that there's any major reconstruction that we're approving here, that we really have the authority to condition it.
Right.
But we would recommend it,
Yeah.
as we
Okay.
would anybody on the shorefront.
And would always encourage it.
Well, when I did one of the other houses there, that's when the Belgrade Lakes Association, and then they had a hydrologist come down, and then we were studying how the water came across the field, and they changed lawn fertilizers, and we did drainage lines, we did rain gardens, we did all kinds of stuff. And that was just because they wanted to, so.
Yeah.
Because they donated to the building.
Okay, what other questions do we have about this particular application? It has changed significantly from our first conversation with you. I appreciate the work that you've put into it to get to this point.
I'm just glad we could get it to the place where it could be, it's gotta be, get it so it's ready for the next generation.
Right.
The house wasn't, it's nice, I mean, I live in it, but right now, but it was built, Harold Alfon built it a long time ago for not a lot of money, and it shows. So, but it's a camp.
Yep.
So,
A couple of years from now, Gary will get some calls of, how'd somebody build a new house down by the water?
It won't take that long.
What's that? Doesn't take that long?
Spring, right around ISO.
it's, yeah. But the other hand, they take their boat down to get it serviced, or they go to anywhere, and they're just, the bill's a little higher. So, everybody gets their pound of flesh.
Yep,
So,
I'm all set.
I'm all set. Yeah, all set. But entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the application has it been amended, or I'm approving whatever we got in front of us.
Right.
It's presented, I
It's
guess.
presented.
Presented today, yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Because we don't have any conditions on it, right?
Anybody
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion? You have any more questions?
Thank you.
Gary, you have any thoughts on this matter? Therefore, all those in favor? Unanimously approved.
Thank you.
This is
This is
the
your
planning
copy.
board copy?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, this is yours. I just want to
That
set it
is-
up and then get it over and fold it up.
The original application.
There's a special technique for folding
Yeah,
those
well, you know, in certain parts of the country, they won't let you apply for a permit unless you have, if you have the plans folded incorrectly. You have to do
Wow.
that. There you go, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay.
Good evening. Safe drive home.
Yes, really, safe journey. So Nick, you have to sign the permit, the application.
I have to sign it. Or you guys do.
Yeah, we have to sign it.
Do I in fact get a permit tonight? Is that coming?
No, the mail.
It would be mailed to you. Yeah, that's good. And so what, just so you know, so what happens, we either approve or disapprove. If there are conditions, we might say, you know, see the minutes where the conditions are. We
Here's
date,
what pile I'm working out of.
planning board, check mark, and then we sign it,
Okay.
okay? So just so you have at least an idea of what
Yep, that's
happens.
Maybe not.
What is it good permit good for? What is it permit good for?
You have a year to make a substantial staff,
Okay.
which is defined as a third of the project.
A third of the project. Okay.
I look black. Okay. Safe travels, Peter. Yeah. Next up was Adam. Hey Adam, what's going on?
Not much, are you?
Doing all right. You got some stuff going on, you know?
Couple things.
Things. In addition,
Thank you.
Was there another form that we usually sign?
there usually is. Yep, thank you. Yep, that's perfect.
Almost. You almost made it. Set.
Thanks. So you, go ahead, Adam.
Which one do we have? Desserts?
First one up was,
The addition.
yeah, the addition.
Pretty much we're adding on or keeping the same number of bedrooms. We're just making the master bedroom a little bit larger and adding a bathroom to it. Adding the kitchen. It has an existing kitchen, but we're gonna make that larger with the mudroom and then adding a garage. All out of the 100 foot, we're right on the line of the 100 foot, and we're up at like 18.2% lot coverage. All said and done, Andy Dunbar came in, did all the surveys. You have the addition and the garage placed on the set of plans it would be. If you want a full-size set of copies, I can get them. Fairly basic, it's not conforming lot, I believe is the only reason why we're here, and it's within shoreline zone.
He just said good stuff.
You're
The
saying
reason why it's
Andy
here is a
did the,
non-conforming lot.
Andy-
Lot coverage
Yep.
issue?
Yep, he did that. If you look on,
It was 18%?
it's right on his survey.
Yeah, it's right on the survey.
Actually,
On the last page.
It's really, yeah, it's really small.
I can get you a full-size copy. I don't actually have one in my possession.
18.35, right? Right. I
Yeah.
think, if I'm reading that correctly.
Now, is part of this the relocation of the driveway?
Yes. You can see there was a circle before. Right, yeah, we're just gonna come in, make a turn out, because otherwise it'd be over 20%. So we're gonna seed this back to
I
grass.
see, okay.
And where is this? You said it's on.
Hemlock. It's off 8 and 11 before the hill, before they split. There's like 4 houses down there.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I think we had another application, not this year, but a year ago, this past summer.
Yep. And you said much of this is almost at the 100-foot mark? Did you say
The
that?
addition's right at the 100-foot mark. And we're 12 feet back from the lot setback from the side.
Yeah, it shows up on the drawing,
Dotted line or 100-foot setback in the kitchen.
75, 100 foot, and the
Okay.
250 foot mark.
How about vegetation removal as part of the construction? When I say vegetation, I'm talking about lawn, I'm talking about trees.
There's some small trees, probably about 6 to 8 inches. All of them will be out of the 100-foot mark, but there is some on that property line, it's going, all gonna have to come out. The turnaround, like the circle driveways, get trees in the middle of it, so we might be able to maintain some of those. But I don't know exact number of trees that's coming up, it's not a lot.
Sound like
Yes, less than 10.
The back of the lot there, is that forested, or is that a big lawn,
You
or
see where the septic is?
back here?
Oh, that's all trees.
That's all trees?
This is
Okay.
grass right here, kind of to this line.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the septic, like right here, and then this is all trees all the way back.
The septic disposal system is, looks like it's kind of running right through the 250-foot line.
Yep.
Okay, so the reason I was asking the question about the trees, and I'm thinking about whether some trees need to be replanted, is that in the shoreline zone, you can have only a cleared opening of 40%. Gotta go back and I'm just wondering, you know, the trees back here are outside the shoreline zone, so don't count. I'll find it here in a second. It may not be an issue, but,
There's trees in the front of the house towards the water, there's not a ton of them, but the canopy covers the majority from the house to the actual shorefront.
yeah.
Where the kitchen area, that's pretty much lawn driveway right now. And then where the garage was actually slid over a couple times because it was too big for the lot. So there is some on that side I have to take out, but mainly that garage is all driveway. So it's not a ton of trees. So if you have to plant some, we can, but we're very limited in the same location or closer. We have to be closer to the lake. Just because it's such a narrow lot, like on the other side, there's only probably 15 feet.
Will the earth moving contractor that's gonna do well, wait a minute, maybe I'm got this still wrong. You're doing away with some driveway, but are you also building some new driveway?
Just enough to turn around.
Oh, just on the turnaround.
We're moving more than we're building.
Right, yeah. No, I can see
But
that.
obviously, we'll have an excavator within the 100 feet, but not within the 75. And Scott Horn So he's certified.
He is
I am
certified.
as well. I can give you the
Oh,
numbers.
you are, okay.
Yep.
Because we'll just need to, in
I
the
got it.
upper left-hand corner, have that filled out.
Okay, I have those if you want them, or we can do it after.
Sure, that's fine.
What's the slope like from the cottage down to the lake?
It's fairly gradual, it's almost flat.
Almost like,
It's a little bit, kind of where the foundation would be, is a little bit of, maybe a drop of like 3 feet, but after that, it's almost flat. Which is the reason we're doing a full basement there, because we can't get right across walls.
right. Any, what are your plans for dealing with the stormwater coming off the roof?
Right now, not much of a crushed dome, because it's all metal roof. So
On
it's
drip
gutter,
line.
yeah, because it's gutter, it's just gonna get ripped off, so.
All right, here's the paragraph. I said 40%, but I was thinking about the 40% volume. Page 58. Just below the, midway down, it says, in no event shall cleared openings for any purpose, including but not limited to principal and accessory structures, driveways, lawns, and sewage disposal areas exceed in the aggregate 25% of the lot area within the shoreline zone, or 10,000 feet, whichever is greater. So the reason for asking about whether trees are being cut, if there's a cleared opening on the lot in the shoreline zone of 10,000 square feet, less than, put it this way, if it's 10,000 square feet or greater, and they were taking trees out that made that opening bigger, then they'd have to replant some trees somewhere too.
I don't have the answer to that, because I don't know exactly, we never surveyed that section to see. And the next question is, what do you consider coverage? Are you going by canopy?
Yeah.
Because I mean, most of the stuff on the front side, majority of it's covered, but they're larger trees. So it's maybe, I don't know, 10 trees there, but it covers most of the front towards the 100 foot with, you know, on the shore, the shrubs, blueberries, that hasn't been touched. On the back, it's a lawn. I don't know how big it is. We'd have to have Andy confirm that number. But it's very minimal amount of trees that would be coming out, which we can replant, you know, as necessary.
Would that take care of it, Rich?
Might even have,
We required replanting of the, replacement somewhere on, within the 250?
Oh, that would have something to take care of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Other than the issues of runoff of BMTs and clearing, lot coverage, I mean, the building, all the buildings outside the 100-foot area, so, other than making sure we don't have an erosion problem or exceeding lot coverage, which the survey says it doesn't,
Right.
and vegetative clearing, then I personally don't have any problems with the project as submitted.
I can't speak for the others, Adam, but I appreciate having that right on the drawing, because a lot of times we're fumbling around with that, trying to figure out.
Well, we started with that because we had issue where too big of a first set of plans, and before we brought it here, we realized that, so we had to
Yeah.
backstep a little bit. But it's just easier for everyone to have a survey.
Right, have it
See what it says.
right up straight. Yeah.
It is appreciated, we appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, this is a lot better than some of the things.
Yeah, but I don't have any issues with it. I think the only thing I want to make sure we do is capture the data for the certified contractor,
Yep.
information on the,
I have
Original
those.
application,
If
so
you want
that-
them, I can write them on there for you.
yeah, if you would, that would be fantastic. Nick, do you have the original application so you can put that on there? So up in this corner up here, you can see how this is.
Okay. I'll give you both.
That will be nice to have that garage and addition on there.
Actually, say really right to the Sentinel. Column in the Sentinel.
What's that?
Is this the same fellow who has a column in the Waterville Sentinel on occasion?
He works at Colby.
Yeah, he writes, yeah.
Joe,
Yeah.
Joe sees him.
Yeah.
Is he great? Okay.
I thought I recognized the name.
Yeah. So just so I'm clear, so with the existing house here,
Yeah.
is the addition gonna go, where's the addition gonna go?
I believe it's this piece right here and this here, which is the garage.
Oh, okay, so this shows what will be the proposed garage in the addition,
Are we
okay.
correct?
I didn't see the,
This is-
yeah.
This is the addition, right?
Yes.
Oh, there it
Yeah,
is. I'm
that.
looking at it upside down.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, so the
Gotcha.
existing house is
Here.
pretty much square. We're not touching anything on there,
we're dealing
other than
with
open up
this.
some siding so we can get through.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
Okay.
it is a piece of,
Yeah, perfect. I couldn't quite read that.
yeah.
All right, great, I'm set. This is a very good application, thank you. Craig, do you have any questions on this particular one? Anybody else? No?
No, I'm not even sure the usual standard condition of dealing with stormwater under BMP
Oh,
is necessary, because Adam mentioned that they were planning a drip edge,
Yeah, yeah, I would agree.
unless you feel differently, Rich.
no.
So,
I'm good, yeah.
good, okay, so was that a motion?
Oh, okay, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you.
Second?
Seconded. Any more discussion? Any questions, Adam? Gary, you set?
Mhm.
All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Permit will be mailed. Thank you.
Relatively speaking, we're on a roll.
Yeah, really.
Should slow down here in a minute.
I told Melissa, don't expect me before 9 o'clock.
What's that?
I told my wife, don't expect me before 9 o'clock tonight at least, anyway.
On the next one, the agenda doesn't actually say it. It just says Adam Gardner, but it's a commercial development review.
Right.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah, yeah, we had to evacuate, yesterday, I think. But they only moved, so Savannah's a bunch of these really low-lying islands, and the house they're renting's on one of those. You never know it, but, you know, they're all islands. Storm Surge is just doing that.
Yeah. Are we all set, everybody, for the next one? Okay, you got it.
So we have a shop already, but I have a storage issue, because I bought a fork barge, picks up pontoon boat, or boat lifts, picks them up, puts them on shore 20 feet out, with docks and stuff. It needs to be inside. It's 45, or with the trailer, it's 45 feet long. So for me keeping it outside, it just, my shop's not big enough. My shop's 36 by 46. So I'm looking to build a storage building for now, which is over 1,200 square feet, so we have to go to commercial review. It's obviously for me, so I'm trying not to spend a ton of money having to have any more surveys and plans stuff done. So I attempted what best I could to meet the requirements. I know some don't apply to what this is. I've talked to the fire marshal, they said storage building, you don't need to comply with, majority of it. I do have an actual plan from Hammond's. I don't have a stamped plan. I couldn't find anywhere. It said it was required to have a stamped plan from said engineers. I mean,
It's not required.
No, it's
I
not.
didn't see anywhere it was, but I know when we did the marina, they wanted a stamp set
Yeah.
because we're using it to, house people and stuff like that. It's existing commercial lot, divided off, I don't know, a couple of years ago. So it's through, is a shell company that holds the property, that's why it's not under either my business name or my name, but it's who are, they just hold their property.
I love the name.
More to cut me away from
Yeah.
what I have, hopefully.
Like the name. Put Corbett's in front of it, you'd be all set. And where's Amber Lane? I'm not sure where that is.
Off Cass Island Road. As soon as you turn, about a quarter mile, and you turn on Cass Island Road right before you get to West Road. It's right past the golf course.
Oh, yeah, I know where it is.
Was that carved out of the golf course property?
No, Lord's owned
Yeah.
it, I believe, before, and then a gentleman from Madison, I think. They did a self-development that didn't go through, so I bought the large parcel in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
While we're waiting, on the front page here, it says 2,000 square feet, which I think is,
Just 3,000, it's over 3,000. It's
It's-
50,
it-
50 by 60.
okay, so.
I started with
those-
40, I started with 2,000 and then realized the boat wasn't gonna fit in it, so it's, like, this is the actual, you had
Okay.
this after the
So,
fact.
so this needs to be corrected, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I can initially correct it
On the original?
on the original, if
Okay.
you want me to do that right now, or? Go through
We
it
can
all.
wait and catch up.
Yeah, we can.
Looking for a checklist, Peter.
Yeah. I don't have one. You don't have a checklist, do you, for,
Don't know. I know I'm supposed to have one.
Do you know where they are?
I don't know.
Are they in that black plastic box?
that's what I would have thought.
Do you need a checklist for commercial reviews?
So do you live at this property? Is there a house there?
Not on that particular property, I live right next door. It's
Across.
just separate.
Yeah.
You pull straight in and get my place, go up to the right.
Separate lot?
Yeah, just for the business.
Because we would want the checklist and we would want the findings of fact,
Yeah.
right? Those are-
I know where
Yeah.
the findings of facts are.
But checklist first.
Yeah.
Is the checklist attached to this application?
There is one attached to the application,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah, I checked it out,
yeah, oh,
make sure there's a note, make sure.
That look right, Peter?
Yeah, that's. Yep. So maybe we could use this as a guideline. I won't mark on this one. Well.
Just leave it there.
Well, if we come upon any gaps, we want to be able to present you with what you would still need,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll just go by this, but on my copy, I can, if you come upon anything, I'll just indicate it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, for the checklist. Okay, going right down through it. Is everybody okay to start doing this checklist? And it looks like by an indication on here that you've already paid a fee of $100, is that correct?
Yes.
Adam?
No.
It says paid $100.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Someone
Yes,
paid.
Yes, yeah, okay, sorry.
It was a
I
gift.
dropped off both at the same time, so it wasn't a separate check, but no, you're right.
Alright, so that was paid. Copies received, yes, we have copies, I guess. Going through here, an application form, did we receive it? Yes, we have an application form that's been filled out by you. It looks complete. Waiver request, if applicable, have you asked for any waivers? So I guess I would say NA in that case. Thank you very much. General information, including name, address, phone number. Seems to be name, address, phone number. Property location, including map and lot. That is indeed there. Verification of applicant's right, title, or interest in the paper and the property.
yeah, there's,
It's not a full, it's a copy of what, like, surveyed it off what they did. They didn't have the actual signed, deed.
Okay.
We need to get it, but that's definitely what it says.
Peter, I don't know how you want to handle this in terms of asking questions, if you just want to go through and check off what's here. I do have a question about, this goes to, you know, what the subdivision approval included and didn't include. So I don't know if you want to get into those kind of questions now or wait.
Yeah.
It's up to you. How are we going to do it?
Yeah, let's get it from now. I mean, if there's something that's hot.
The
Well,
subdivision's not actually, it was supposed to be condos in there. When I bought that land, I bought it with no deed restrictions, that we could do whatever we wanted. And when we waited the 5 years, or I mean 6, and Andy Dunbar divided off Mike Phillips, and I talked to Gary, where it's been long enough there, all the deed restrictions, so there's no deed restrictions on that piece of property when I bought it.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
actually, there's no subdivision, it was all subdivided at one point, but there's no association, there's no rules, no bylaws, there's nothing that goes with that lot. When I
Okay.
bought it, that's what I asked for.
Okay, so it's like it was never subdivided by the town,
Right.
or approved by the town?
This was like the remaining land, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. All right, where I was going was, you know, it's not uncommon for subdivisions to have restrictions on it. A lot of times, including the subdivision,
I mean,
you have a
I'm
restriction on
plotting-
commercial development.
Probably the largest piece of commercial land in Belgrade.
Right,
About 400 acres of the golf course.
right. Okay, that was my only question.
I mean, I can get you that if you want it, but when we bought it specifically, we asked for all that. To
Yeah.
be all removed, and they took it,
Yeah.
and they removed it.
Well, I just didn't know the history of it. I was thinking you owned a lot within a town-approved subdivision.
I mean, it was subdivided, but it was the remaining law that they didn't do anything with.
Good question.
But that's apparently among the missing files as well, or not?
Oh, I don't,
That subdivision.
what's the name of it?
It's called Stone Brook at Belgrade Lakes.
If it Gives it a
According,
nice-
what's on your deed.
Apparently.
Yep. Stonebrook is the one that you looked for, right? Couldn't
Yes.
find, yeah. Is there an estimated cost of the proposal?
60,000 I saw somewhere.
Okay. Schedule of construction, including anticipated beginning and completion dates?
It's on there.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
on
that.
there, it's one of those I'm gonna frame it and pick away at it over time, just as I have time.
Said completed by end of 2017.
Okay. Next, description of the project. Did you have that in there?
Should be in there, yeah, it's on one of the letterheads, along with the price. I have them in somewhat order of what was asked, I don't know what happened, I didn't get a copy.
Pretty good one.
Anybody find it?
Yep, yeah, going step on it.
Great. Copy of the tax map showing property and surrounding parcels.
Yeah.
A copy of the Kennebec soil map showing the property. We have-
Yeah, that's it. Kennebec soils.
A copy of the USGS topo map showing the property. I think I saw
Yeah, that's it too.
it says a copy of the shoreline zoning map if located in the shoreline district.
Not located in the zoning district.
It's not, so not applicable, we would indicate that. Copy of the firm map showing if the property is located in a designated floodplain, it is not, so it's not applicable. A copy of the National Wetlands Inventory map showing the property.
Yeah, that's in
We
there.
have one.
Not the one.
Thank you, Ed. A map drawn to scale showing the location of boundaries, elevation, uses, and size of the following. And then you list quite a number of things.
Yep.
The location of all proposed subsurface wastewater disposal systems. I'm assuming since you've indicated NA, you're not gonna have any.
Right now, there's not one. I don't plan to put it to storage. I've talked about putting in like a bathroom eventually someday, like in the existing shop building, but right now it's just a porta potty.
Okay. Indication of water source, et cetera. Same deal,
I don't have a well.
which is good because if you're gonna have a bathroom, you should have a well.
For
Um,
rainforest.
A letter of assurance from the state fire marshal.
That's not,
Not
that should
required.
actually be crossed out of the
Yeah,
checklist, because there's nothing in the ordinance that requires it.
right.
It's a lot of
Turning,
emails trying to get the answer on that one.
Oh,
turning.
shouldn't have said anything, sorry.
That's fine. I talked to him eventually, so.
Evidence that all other local permits have been obtained, including but not limited to shoreline zone, floodplain management. You've indicated NA because it's in meter, right, so. Is the board okay with that then? Not applicable? And erosion control plan as per the requirements of this ordinance? Do you have an erosion control plan?
I have a very basic one. I wasn't sure exactly which one to see. Just kind of, do the site work, the silt fences, when we're done, mulch it all in. And,
Yeah.
I'm not planning to grass it, because I don't want to mow it. But most of it's gonna be covered by the building anyways. Kind of, majority of its open area right now is probably 15, 20 trees of decent size that gotta come down, you know, like this.
And when you refer to best management practices, I assume you mean the DEP ones, right?
Yes.
So I would say yes.
A storm water control plan as per the requirements of this ordinance. And we also have a phosphorus control plan as per part of this ordinance.
There, on the same page, there's discussion of both. I did have a question about, so there's, looks like gonna be a rock line sort of infiltration.
We're gonna do something from the backside. We have just water that sheds when it pours, just because we get everything from 27.
Mm-hmm.
It runs down through the woods and goes down eventually, goes down towards the brook. So like that backside, I was just thinking, I did a little research on phosphorus control plan is really new to me. So they try to say slow the water down and get it going a natural shed to let it disperse, so make a swale with, you know, larger rocks in it to slow it down, try to get it to settle down, so behind the building would be that.
Mhm.
Most of the water that goes on the existing area now goes right to the woods, which has a ditch there, which doesn't have rock in it, but it's all vegetated.
As best I could tell from the Google Earth, it looks like it's wooded around both where the proposed building is as well as where your existing building is,
Yeah,
for the most part.
yeah, everything on the lot's wood,
So
except
that,
for
I
where the
think,
building is in
that
parking.
would meet the simple method, you know, using a buffer as an infiltration area.
That's good.
And I did have a question on your drawing. You have another green line with natural buffer. Right, I wasn't sure if that was part of the stormwater or just for
Kind of both,
buffer
because
from
they
your
say,
property.
because this shed's down,
Mhm.
so the high point is behind the building, so
Okay.
that's why this here, this is
That's
actually,
why,
this is
that's why the
actually
water
fairly-
runs like this.
Yeah, this is natural right now, but what I wanna do is just, you know, stone that, and then any of this area behind is where we'd do mulch. It would crush stone each of the drip edges.
Okay, yeah.
This is actually fairly open, the only thing I need to open up is this. And this is just all natural, it hasn't been touched.
Okay, so you're gonna retain it that way?
Yes, not even gonna touch it at all.
I got a question, these numbers that you got here on the phosphorus control plan section.
That's
Who
what I
generated-
found.
Who generated them? Or
I
what-
went off the Maine State website of taking your area of what it is, what this is, and times it all out and figure that out. Because like I said, phosphorus control, it's new to me. You can figure out the whole area of, you know, the lot and everything like that. So I left it in there. It's by their example, for what they require for each one. I took the square footage, it's in acres, so that's how they did it. So instead of converting it over to square feet, I did it all in acres.
Okay. I mean, the basic premise is to keep as much, if not all, on the site.
Okay, moving along. So are we satisfied then with the stormwater and phosphorus control plans as indicated on the the location of the site or structure listed on the National Register of Historic Places?
I looked and there's like maybe one in Belgrade.
I
Yeah,
can tell
there
you
are-
it's not.
Yeah, there are a couple and you're not. No.
Yeah, and this isn't one of them.
The location of any significant wildlife resources or natural areas. And you indicated NA. in this
Geese
case.
hang around the golf course pond, no.
There's nothing unique about that.
The traffic access data for the site, including the estimate of an amount of vehicular traffic to be generated on a daily basis.
It's not gonna change from what I have there now.
He's indicated NA.
That's why I wrote that in there. I mean, the boat's still gonna get parked there whether the building goes in or not.
Mhm.
You know, or all my equipment's still there anyway, so
Mhm.
doesn't change, I'm not adding anything else.
And under any proposed areas or structures to be dedicated for public use, you said it's not applicable because you are not doing that. Any scale drawing showing the location and construction specs for all proposed roads, drainage features, ditches, culverts, all that stuff.
That's kind of that phosphorus and water runoff, it shows
Yeah,
roughly where everything is supposed to scale that I can do, like I said, if that's,
yeah.
doesn't need it, then I'll have Andy Dunbar drawing up.
Yeah, good. So it's not to scale?
It's pretty close. I mean,
Well-
that's a scale, plan that they did when they came in and surveyed, and then I took paint and set it there, so it's pretty
I see.
close.
I see.
I think for the purposes of this, this should be more than adequate. If it was a bigger scale project or something of that nature, maybe I'd have some concerns about the fact that it wasn't surveyed in, but
Yeah.
I think it's fine for this project, level of project.
I
I
would
could
agree.
give you some dimensions from the other building and from that back property line, which would give it a location where it's gonna sit. I mean, it's gonna be 16 feet from the other building and it'll be 12 feet from the back property line. Which we can.
Thank you. I
I
think
mean, that would be a hard number where it's gonna be.
Yeah, actually, if you add that to the original, I think that'll,
that'd be great.
that would, you know,
Let's make a list of ones to add.
Any other material to show that this applicable performance standards or other requirements of this ordinance are followed?
I have a number of questions about standards that, you know, the checklist doesn't actually capture. It's the usual same old stuff all,
Yeah.
every time, but
Right.
and I don't know if you want me to bring that up now.
Let's do it now. While you're doing that, do you have the original application?
And do you have any plans for like a sign at the road or anything like that?
I only have signs on my trucks.
No? Okay.
Because I don't go down that road. I have no interest in putting a sign out.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask about, if you were planning to have any, gasoline or other petroleum storage as part of that building? No
We
hazardous
have
materials,
5
really, other
gallon
than the
gas
usual?
cans, but
Yeah,
no
right,
versus
household
someone
level, yeah,
No.
okay, that's not what we're concerned about. And then the other thing I wanted to ask was, I've never been up the road, I know where it is, because I drive by it, but, is there, let's see, what direction would that be? Towards the Castle Island Narrows, Castle Island Road or the Narrows Road, is there a house abutting on the abutting parcel?
Yes, I think there's actually one or two that touch me. There's that one, like an acre and a half or so.
Yeah,
That abuts one side. I don't know if,
Let's see,
the-
it says on
that
here,
little auto shop.
Michelle
touches-
Lane,
Yep,
is there a house on that lot?
yes.
Okay.
That's two, both, all 4 lots have buildings. 3 of them are residential, one being mine, and then the other 2 have houses on them.
Between your proposed shop, or really, it's along that property line with, the lane lot,
It's all wooded.
it's all wooded. I think what we would need is, the ordinance requires a 50-foot buffer from existing resident, lots with existing residential structures on it. So we would need something indicating that you're gonna retain a 50-foot wooded buffer along there of the existing woods.
Is there, yeah, we can put that into it, I don't know. The survey plan puts the existing garage.
No. Their garage, you said?
No, my garage.
Yes, it
I
has
already
that on
have.
there.
Yeah, we're not going any closer that way. I
Okay,
have no
so
intentions to
I think would be a matter,
Do you have just, you wanna note
matter
that
on
somewhere?
that.
Just retain that as natural.
Yeah,
buffer.
I mean, maybe this could be
So-
modified right here, so like put a dotted line, you know, natural vegetative buffer or something of that nature.
Yeah, I think it's well over 50 feet right now, because right now this is only like a small walking path here, and it's actually like drainage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going anywhere in there. I was already putting it over here. We actually almost put it way back here by 1F3. all the
Yeah,
way back.
right.
But yeah,
So-
we can do that, retain,
50
all
foot.
buffer to
Yeah,
the
retain 50-foot
south
natural
of
buffer
the-
or something
Yep.
of that nature.
So I have the original here, so if you make a note, we can just
Do all
Yeah.
that.
put that on here. Then when we get through this, we'll have a question for you guys.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay. All right, super. So by going through this, I didn't see any gaps that Adam would need to meet later. So if that's the case, you know, on this checklist, the next thing's, you know, it says a place where we sign it and date it, so we would be taking, we haven't done this yet, though. Wait a second.
Right, we have to do the findings of fact.
So,
But in terms of the completeness of the checklist.
yeah, and you're right, for the checklist, I think we're in good shape. Do you all agree? And so I just thought, when we got into this, the original application, which is the town record, should have check marks for complete or not. And I just wanna make sure we put that on there as we go along.
Yeah.
Then make sure that Adam can indicate the couple of things we talked about.
Right, yeah, and there's a couple of corrections too on, with regard to the footprint of the proposed building and its square footage.
Right.
Kind of changed.
So
If you look in the actual plans in there.
Yeah, no, the plans,
it's
yeah.
correct. We started with that and it was.
Yeah,
it
you know,
stuck in my
it's
head
just
when I
I
filled it out, so
realized the plans were different than what was on the
Yeah.
cover sheet.
I fixed it on one, but not the other, apparently.
Okay, so is the board ready to go through the findings of fact? What's the project name?
G&L storage / shop.
Okay,
May I ask one question before we put on the,
sure.
I'm confused, this is what's being built?
No, this is
Oh,
This is
okay,
what
that's already
existing-
there.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm confused.
And the other ones, it's a different color, so
Yeah.
I know you're black and white.
Okay.
See it better on this.
Okay, so let's get through this. Okay, so what we do is go through this and this is the findings of fact document that's used to be for the town record, so. First thing is an application summary, so there had been one present, I think, on the application package. Gosh, just a second. Okay. Right, the date the application was accepted for complete. So that's today's date.
Yes.
Review criteria findings. The board finds that the application for the subject project is complete and applicable. Fee has been paid to the town. Seems different, guys. I don't know why exactly. Compared to the other
The
one.
past one?
Yeah, I don't know why. But, when did you pay that?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday?
It says, just, I wrote paid right here on the top, I don't know if you copy that.
You needed the date though.
Yeah, it says list date, so, was it 29th? Thursday was the 30th, Friday was the,
October 1st was Saturday.
Yeah, so it's
29th.
29th.
okay. The applicant has requested in writing that the board waive the following ordinance. There were none. The applicant has provided supporting documentation to demonstrate that the board's satisfaction of the following requirements and standards are not applicable due to the project size, blah, blah, blah. This document includes the following. I'm sorry, it's just a lot of, rather than to bore you with all the words, I'm just gonna get through some of these. Okay. The board finds that the project will or will not cause unreasonable soil erosion or reduction in the land's capacity to hold water. C, the board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on freshwater wetlands.
Will not.
The board finds that the project will not or will have an adverse impact on lake, stream, or stream-based something on, will not. The board finds that the project will not or will provide for adequate storm water management.
Will.
The board finds that the project will not or will provide adequate sewage disposal. It's actually,
No.
yeah.
I feel like the word is saying I do. I will.
It's sort of like being in school, it's in school. Class.
The board finds that the project is not or is located in a floodplain area.
It's
No.
not.
Is not. And, yeah. So just to go on a little bit about this, after some of these options are checked, there are sections that say, either conforms or does not conform with the Belgrade ordinance based on site, and then it says site applications, submittals, or everything. So there are multiple things to select from when going through each of the items. That's why I was pausing to
Okay.
see what it had to say. And sometimes it just doesn't seem to
Flow.
exactly flow. The board finds that the project will not or will result in air or water pollution.
Will not.
The board finds that the project will not or will have sufficient drinking water. It's not applicable.
Great.
The board finds that the project, along or in conjunction with existing activities, will not or will adversely impact quality or quantity of groundwater. Will not adversely. The board finds that the proposed activity will dispose of all solid waste in conformance. This would be not applicable. Right? Because he's not
Well, there's no subject at this point.
talking about solid waste in conformance with all local regulations and type of quantity of waste proposed to be sent to the town transfer facility.
I mean,
Just-
you're not gonna, what are you gonna be generating there for waste?
I have dumpsters there,
But that's within the capability of the transfer station.
Right, yeah.
capacity. So it will not exceed the capacity.
Right.
It will not exceed. Okay. The board finds that the project will not or will have a significant detrimental effect on adjacent land uses and properties affected by waste, noise, glare, fumes, smoke, dust, odors, or their effects from the project. The board finds that the project will not or will cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of existing proposed highway or roads. The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have no adverse effect on scenic or natural beauty of the area, aesthetics, historic sites, or public rights for physical or visual access to the shoreline of the water body.
Will not.
The board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have no adverse effect on significant wildlife habitat.
Will have no adverse effect.
Great, yeah.
It will have no.
No double negatives.
Okay, that's a tough one.
That's a trick one. See if we're still awake.
Yeah, I know, really. So do we mark the one before that correctly? Will have, I think we did. So going back to item N, the board finds that the project, to the maximum extent possible, will not or will have no adverse effect on scenic. It will have no, I'm thinking you should say it will have no adverse effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The board finds that the project does not conform or conforms with all other applicable town ordinances. Then it lists all of them, basically. Does anybody have anything that it does not conform to, they
I
can
don't
think
know
of?
anything.
There's nothing that jumped out of my mind. So the project conforms. The board finds that the project will not or will unreasonably increase the concentration of phosphorus in a great pond.
Will not.
The board finds that the project will not or will conform to all applicable provisions of this ordinance, including but not limited to material storage, which is part of Article 7, standards, including Section 5 and Article 8, where applicable. So, either will not or will conform to applicable provisions of this ordinance.
Will conform.
Citing. Therefore, the town of Belgrade approves, well, this is where we get to vote. We either approve or deny. And then we have standard conditions of approval. And I would like to read them at least a little bit, so you have an idea. And they are included with all approvals. If construction has not been substantially started within 12 months of the approval, then of board approval, this approval and subsequent permit of the Belgrade CEO are null and void. The board approval of this project as described above is limited to that depicted in the accompanying plan and other application submissions, except to the extent that the board has expressly indicated that in this document that certain depictions may be revised by the applicant without further review and approval by the board. Any changes to the application, site plan, or supporting application submissions must receive prior approval by the board, including but not limited to changes in proposed location of structures, roads, parking, vehicle entrance and exits, wells, subsurface, wastewater systems, method of waste disposal, the extent and location of vegetated areas, material storage, outdoor lighting, signage, signs, and phosphorus runoff. So basically we're saying you get what you're permitted to do, then that's what you're doing.
Okay, so if I do want to do a well or septic, is that back to the planning board? Or is that to Gary, just for future reference?
Right, I just want to make sure we're reading.
Whether it's in this building, if I put it in the other building, that's already existing, it's under 1,200. It's under 1,200 square feet, I think just barely. Just so I know.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
It makes a little bit of a difference on down the road, because if it's, has to go all the way back through just for, the septic literally would be for a single bathroom, would be a tank, and probably 3 H200s or 4, whatever they did a design for.
I think it would, if it was just those things, I think that would be kind of a formality. I think technically it would have to come back to the board, but I think it could go through Gary and just with the letter and your usual, paperwork, right? This is, if it was something more substantive, say you wanted to clear that buffer area we were talking about earlier,
Okay.
we would want to sit down and talk about that.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't plan on doing anything else,
Right.
except for if I get to that point where
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to have an outhouse.
Or
there.
you want to
Right.
convert it to auto repair or something.
Right, for example. Right, I would agree with the way George,
Yeah.
summarized that.
Okay.
Then 3, this board approval and its associated permit from the CEO is transferable to subsequent owners of the property. All subsequent owners are required to comply with the conditions of the project's board's approval. And then if there are others. So, having stated the standard conditions of approval, we get to now vote. How is the board feeling this time about what's Has
Kind
been
of
presented.
kind of warm and fuzzy myself.
Yeah. Rich, you have
No,
any
no, I'm
questions?
okay.
Craig, any issues at all? Do you have any questions for us, Adam?
That's my only one.
Yeah,
but the
I mean, we just
well,
have a number of corrections to be made and slight alteration to the, show the buffer area.
And we want to make sure we capture those, and we have the original application here, so we're going to ask you to do that, but I'd like to have us vote first. So, having said all that, I would entertain a motion, wait,
Yeah.
yeah, entertain a motion. Anybody? Do it.
I make a motion to accept it as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, unanimously approved.
Rich is voting early ballot.
I saw the sign out there, it said, absentee ballot.
Original, you change it all.
Yeah, here's the original. So this goes,
Next, on the next page, in the description, the dimensions are,
Correct, yeah.
no, turn, second page, after the very first page. On this page right here, isn't that incorrect as well?
so Nick, this is the, what's called the findings of fact. So this is part of the official record, okay?
Send those to
So-
the original?
Yep, we want to make sure that we have these, anytime we have commercial development review coming before the board, which is another good, it's another reason to have those headings that we talked about,
Yeah.
because it can be a cue, like, oh, yeah, I need that, okay. And then,
You want the buffer put on.
so can I get that to you,
Yeah,
please?
right, and, yeah, I know. Right.
I'll put the dimensions on there as well.
Yeah,
At least this
that would
would
be
be this
I think that
corner
would-
here, and then this.
Yeah, that should suffice. You know, if you could initial it.
And I want to make sure that, put check marks next to all the things we talked about on the checklist. Because what Adam submitted was really good, but basically he only put down stuff that was in A. So I want to make sure that if anybody were to read this afterwards, that there was no question that things were completed, and not just some things. Now I'll show you what.
Okay.
So that's 50-foot buffer, 12 feet, 16 feet.
Yep.
This is from here to here. And we did,
That, in here.
right there, 3,000, and then 50 by 60.
Okay, very good.
And do you want have a set of Hammond's plans I can put in this, just have it in the file?
Oh, what?
Just a set of plans that it's not off, graph paper.
Oh,
Do you care?
I don't know that we need it, do we?
No, I don't
Okay,
think
that's
so.
fine.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
just so you guys have seen this one. So, because Adam used this as a guideline to prepare.
Right.
So if someone were to look at this right now, they might conclude that we don't know if it was complete or
Oh, I see what you mean.
not, right? So I'd like just to make sure that there's a,
But that's not the one you're gonna sign, is it?
this is the original.
It's part of the application. And don't we normally just add our own official version?
Normally we do, but it is a,
That you've signed and
Those
dated,
couple pages out.
I could do that.
rather than, have to duplicate it.
Right. Yeah, I'll quickly do that.
Oh, I'm sorry, see, I thought you had marked that up already, Peter.
I had used just a copy, my own copy.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood, I thought you had completed that other,
No, because we had to find this stuff.
yeah, and that was gonna serve as our master copy.
But we'll do this.
You can do it either way, Peter, I don't think, I thought you'd already done it once, and so I didn't see the
I just used.
need to
this
do it
copy.
a second time.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'd like you to do it on this one, that way, because this would be part of the town record, I just want to make sure it's clear.
I mean, the official version becomes whatever you sign and date. Yeah, so, Matt, actually from Matt, he's a good friend that lives in downtown Savannah. And that's Iron, so it's out of the search. So it's him, and now his fiancee's living with me. The dog. So it's quite a bit of hassle, but Matt has to stay on the base. Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's would do, but they moved to where they have their rescue helicopters.
Then,
Oh,
so that part sounds good. That part sounds good. No, Adam, in here, you have a building permit that, that's four, that you're asking.
Well, it said application, I figured that's what they're asking for as well, for a building permit for, but I believe there's stuff to go to there to get permit.
Yeah.
So an additional permit from that one, filled out, there's a building permit in there as well.
No, that'll work.
That'll work.
But we don't need to act on,
No, I do.
yeah, right.
So
So,
coming next Thursday.
Can you take it out of there? Does it need to be in there?
it doesn't need to as far as I'm concerned, because it would be not applicable for us, right? So that was what, put in there? Yep, right? Yep. Okay. And also, for procedural stuff, I think we're supposed to have a letter going to
yeah,
the
the
CEOs.
letter that you drafted.
Right. So, we had a different secretary that I think wrote that letter for us.
I have a copy. The letter that the ordinance requires us to provide to Gary,
Saying that we
sort of
approve
a
this.
letter of
particular-
transmittal of the findings of fact and law.
We had a draft letter somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent it to Mary. Okay, so we'll probably have to work on that a little bit.
Alright.
Basically, it's this. The ordinance calls that the planning board submit a letter to the CEO saying that we have gone through this and have, what do you say? We approve,
Yeah, we approved.
I want to say the right word, because sometimes
Yeah.
it could be dicey.
I assume probably you have the final version that you emailed Mary, don't you?
Yeah, I do, because I don't throw anything away. Trying to, I can sift through some stuff and.
But you don't have it here, right?
Yeah, no,
Right.
but you could send it to
Yeah.
Nick tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll look for that.
Or, except you have to sign it, don't you?
Yeah. But I'll find a way to make it work out. So the letter just states that we've gone through this and we approve of it. And,
Okay.
and then we copy the applicant, I believe, and so on and so forth. That's what's supposed to happen.
Okay.
So, Peter, maybe what you could do, I don't know if you could, print out a version at work and sign it, send that to Nick, email the master
so that Nick could have copies for down the line, future
Right.
applications, the
Right.
hard copies.
So we'll do something like that,
Okay, definitely.
okay? All right, so here's the original application that's been signed, and sealed. You have the findings of fact document.
Yep.
This goes with that. Gary has the building permit for you for the actual building. Is there anything else we need to do for your application? I mean, as far as you're concerned, I mean, you're satisfied, I think, right?
So I guess I'd probably owe Gary a check though, for the
Okay.
actual permit.
Sweet.
Is that included?
I think that's included.
$100?
Well, I don't know, ask Gary.
I don't think it is, but,
Yeah.
because you could get, just pay $100 fee, you know, get around a larger building permit. So I'm sure there's a check involved over this.
Thought it was, but we'll run out.
Yeah, so I think that's it for this thing. So I think, or at least relative to our agenda, we can get on to, it's gonna be Christmas. Some older business. We okay to do this?
Yep.
We've got to check, it's 9:30.
Well, by older business, you mean the minutes? Or did you mean the other two items on our agenda?
Well, I guess first things first, the items on the agenda. How does the board feel about this?
My personal feeling is that the two other items are more important than the old minutes, which have been kicking around for quite some time, and if they had to kick around another couple of weeks, probably wouldn't be the end of the earth.
That's my feeling, too, I agree.
Because one of these items deals with what we're gonna do at the next meeting.
Yep.
That's my personal view.
Rich, how do you feel? Are you okay with?
Yep.
So, Craig, you okay with that? So we will postpone the minutes.
You don't know that,
That's also.
Okay, so the next items were discussion of the official shoreline zoning map district thing. So, we went out, there was a site visit that was conducted at the, what was that property? Herman. Is it Herman?
Herman or something, Wasabi.
Herman Wasabi, property. This has been a real challenge in a lot of ways.
Yeah, John Herman and Mary Jane Rosati.
Yeah. So we had some back and forth, and I don't know how long this is gonna take, or what's gonna have to happen, quite honestly.
Yes.
What'd you guys see when you went out there? Did it look like the topographical survey they did was significantly different than what's shown on the town map?
Doesn't go all the way to the lake, but there's only like 130, 140 feet. So it'd be questionable whether they could actually build there anyways, from where we were talking.
At first, when we walked the entire shoreline from where the existing development or houses are along the shoreline, and he showed us this one, toward the end of the lot, he showed us one area where he said that was part of the lot. And went back probably, at that particular spot, it was like 200 feet. And I thought to myself, well, that's an area that I don't think has doesn't have significant slope in a buildable area or whatever. But then afterward, he said, well, I made a mistake. That's part of the other property next door. But as Craig said, most of the property had, maybe we ran from like 100 feet to 130 feet or something before you got to the slope. The first 100 feet is the slope setback
Right,
area
yeah.
anyway. My thinking is I'm not sure that I'd be recommending a zoning change even if we did that, went that route, which would be down the road a bit, because you're not going to do that overnight. but, you know, I keep going back to, you know, at this point, we don't have an application in front of us. We've got this, not hypothetical either, but, you know, an issue of if somebody wanted to build, where these buildable lots and stuff. And as somebody put in the, somewhere along the line, I read something about Dick Bourne, it was Jay
Oh,
Bradshaw.
from Jay Bradshaw.
Right.
Dick Bourne pointing out to this section, I think it's 16
16,
I or
yeah.
something, and there is a very specific provision in there that talks about areas in the Resource Protection Slope District.
That's for when you have an application.
We have an application, but at this point, you know, my thinking is, we don't have an application, but if they're trying to figure out how to divide this lot, I'm not sure we need to go through a zoning amendment for them to do what they want to do. They can read our ordinance and figure out what probably could happen, but, you know, I'm not convinced that we need to start an ordinance revision.
Yeah. The other thing, and I'll just bring it up, Peter, you can discuss it more, but I just happened to get a copy of an email from Carrie, the town manager, saying that this is on the agenda for the next select board meeting. I think it's the next select board
That was
meeting.
the last one.
It was on the last one, but nobody showed up.
Right.
And so they've rescheduled it apparently.
What's he going to the select board for? That's,
Well,
I was
I
confused.
think to ask, I don't know, but I'm assuming this is based on basically Jay Bradshaw's letter to the select board. And it's almost like, I think they're gonna ask the select board to ask us to rezone that property. And anyway, the Carrie asked that, you know,
Someone
from our board be present at that meeting. So I just throw that out because, you know, it's at that level as well, not just us. But my recollection is that part of their request was based on the fact they wanted to have an appraisal of the land done so that they could settle this estate.
Right.
And that knowing how much of the land is buildable was relevant to that. It almost sounds like, based on what you guys saw though, maybe not. You know, maybe it doesn't change much in terms of how much of the land is buildable. But I mean, I agree with you, Rich, that I don't see any option other than, if we were gonna proceed at all, would be to change the zoning. That requires redoing the maps and going to the voters and going to DEP also. We're talking, you know, 9 months minimum.
Yeah, we gotta make it, if we do make it, it isn't gonna happen overnight, that's for sure.
And I guess I would, you know, my point of view would be, if we are gonna go down that road, let's do it while we're already reworking the ordinance anyway.
Right.
Why do it twice?
When you say redo the zone,
Well,
It would be-
to the extent that the boundary of the 20% slope resource protection zone is different than what it's
indicating
displayed on the map. Yeah.
right? So, because to me, it seems like it's a matter of precision. You know, some tools that were available at one time showed. I think it kind of, you know, just.
Upside down. No,
Oh, you're right side up. We're upside down. So
where, Ken's, wait, here we go. Narrow Castle Island, we're talking about right here. And the question, I came into the town office today, I looked at this map, and I'm trying to think, are we talking about, is this the lot? Big question. I think it probably is. And they show this all in slope district
right.
here.
what I recall from his drawing was, or the point he was trying to make with his drawing was that it wasn't all in the slope district,
Right. Right, 'cause
that there was some land.
It's clearly land that's not sustained slope within
exactly,
130 feet
Right,
in
yeah.
places, whatever.
exactly. So to
And
me, it's,
this lot right here is probably that little lot we walked onto, and a lot of this is beyond the 200-foot mark, but
Yeah, there's a big, there's one lot in particular there that I could say could easily be out of research protection, but he indicated that wasn't their lot. And once you got back away from that lot here, it was still flat area, but it was like 130 feet or so. And then it rose up.
and, oh, I see what that is. Yeah, yeah, this is exactly where we were. Chris Parrish said that, this is a bog, basically. Right there. If you go up and over, there's a sizable bog.
And if we did anything, we would be essentially probably cutting through the middle of this pink, purple, or whatever, red.
Right,
Because clearly, once you get beyond, and most of the lot, 130 feet or so, it does go up.
so to me, the way I'm thinking about it is that boots on the ground experience indicates by observation, I'm not a surveyor, and I don't have, all those skills to tell with any efficiency or proficiency, but would be asking for a way to alter the map to have the correct zone indication on part of the lot, and then another part of the zone on the same lot.
Right, it'd be a split district,
It'd be a
just
split.
like it is like here,
Right,
except that,
and that would alter the indications, as a result, that would alter the indications on this shoreline zone map. And this is the town's resource. So to do that, we'd have to have time, money, resources, electronic files to edit.
And I mean, this is part of the ordinance.
It is,
Um,
absolutely.
maybe our position with the town selectmen would be, like George said, we're tackling the shoreline zoning next. Does it make a whole lot of sense, and we would be looking at the map at that point, or whatever, does it make a whole lot of sense to run out, if we, we're told to or agreed to that it makes a sense to amend that, to run out and do that now.
Right.
I mean, I think as soon as we mentioned that it would cost the town more money to do it twice,
Hang on for a second.
I think that would probably ice it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I would anticipate that going into it, that the applicant would be asking the town selectmen to tell us to go do something with it, right? And then we'd be prepared with some kind of statements. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I agree, there's no reason to alter a map for one lot.
Not right off when we're gonna be doing it.
When we're gonna be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, if we had no plans to do it for a couple more years, then, maybe.
And I think at the same time, we need to mention to the selectmen that there is a provision, even though they're just trying to figure out value of land,
Yeah.
there's a provision for the person who owns those lots to be able to get a permit if they can demonstrate certain conditions that are listed in section 16.1. So we're not prohibiting them from
Getting the value.
getting the permit or building it, but we're not gonna change the zoning district, run out and do it simply because they wanna try to split a lot and figure out their value.
Right. So, this shows a steep lot right here.
Mhm.
Now, are you telling, with a straight face, can we say that the lot right next to it suddenly changes from very steep to not as steep?
Well,
at
we
that-
didn't go over here.
No, we didn't, but
But-
the map shows
Oh,
it.
oh,
The
it
map
did.
shows that it's like steep like this, and then all of
Yeah,
a sudden,
yeah.
because of an arbitrary line on a map that says someone else owns some property, it's now less steep. I'm thinking it's very unlikely. My point is, this is pointing to precision. Chances are that topography if you were to look at this a while ago, the coarse topography look at it would show there was some steepness somewhere on this, therefore plunk, they put down.
Or the majority of the lot. And
Exactly.
that kind of goes back to the issue of if there's 110 feet of, the first 110 feet is flat,
Right,
and then the next, let's say 250, 140 feet. Yeah,
With Steve.
with
steep.
steep, yeah.
Are you gonna put a split district there, or are you gonna call it resource protection, because it's,
Right.
the first 110 feet is the buffer strip, we can't build in that
Can't-
anyway.
Right, exactly.
Well, it sounded like you guys made an important point based on what you saw, was that even if we refine the precision of where the 20% resource protection is, it may make absolutely no difference in terms of the buildability of
Exactly.
those, that parcel or parcels once it's subdivided.
Right,
I mean, you know, a more site-specific decision would need to be made, but still.
right, but when you stand in there, there are definitely some parts there. Remember that or what do you call it, the part that protruded out?
The steep part that
Yeah,
protruded out?
Yeah, you know, that got kind of close,
So it did.
you know, I mean, and he said, if they wanted to build on it, they'd have to either go down here or get, you know, some kind of a,
He was talking about getting a permit to build a road in the 100-foot area.
right.
To access one of these lots that they want to
And
build.
to do so, it'd be,
And we have an existing lot of record there. I guess if we changed it, you know, if we were ever changed to limited residential at the far end, say that that
Mhm.
whole lot that we looked at, found that one piece on the end that you could build on, it could be reasonable to get a variance to build although roads are probably just plain prohibited. You can't give a variance for something that's prohibited. You give a
No, just
variance
a
for
dimensional.
dimensional. But he said that they wouldn't be able to access the lot unless they were able to, well, he said the most appropriate thing would be to build it in a 100-foot buffer. I don't see that as the appropriate answer to the road, but otherwise he's got to come through across the steep slope.
right,
So
yeah.
that isn't appropriate either.
Right, yeah, I think he's thinking about a different, appropriate for flume, I think he's thinking about a difference.
The existing access to this lot, there's a private road that comes off the Castle Island Road somewhere.
Yeah.
Is that how they act?
Yes, that's the road just before that.
The last road over there.
Yeah, right.
In fact, when I,
So that's the access,
Yeah.
yeah.
current access.
The access, yeah, there's a house right there,
Mhm.
and then the driveway stops, and then this is a place
Back,
where you look at this.
sort of the back acreage. I mean, at this point, there's no decision for us to make, really. We don't have a permit before us. The only, I guess, is to see what the select board,
Mhm.
inform them, I guess, of what the situation is, as we best know it at this point.
Agreed.
And spell out if, you know, we were gonna proceed, how we would proceed.
Yeah.
That it would be combined with, probably be combined with our already planned efforts to redo the ordinance. And, you know, I mean, once you start redoing the map, as you found out, Rich, it's not gonna be easy and it won't be cheap.
No.
Right, and it won't be short, you know. Right.
Could we make him show us that there was actually a legitimate building area in there, building lot, before we go through and do all this stuff? Because if he can't build on it anyways, it doesn't matter if it's marked the way it is anyways.
Right, if you can't build on it, you know, it's.
What's the
Can't build
difference
it.
of the 20%? What's the value gonna be? There's not gonna be, what they're looking for is the value, and it's not gonna be,
Yeah.
I used to burn whether they get a permit for a lot. and-
yeah, so before we go through all this, could you make him show that there is actually a building lot in there?
See if he wants to pursue it.
One of the things when he was here the other day, or the first day, did he have an actual true survey showing the beginning of the 20% slope.
When he met here with us?
Like a line showing, say this is 250 feet across here. Did he have something that showed here within the 250 feet that it was, here's the line of where the 250 feet?
I believe he did, but I
Yeah.
think he said it wasn't complete, or,
And he
or,
also said somebody interpolated some of it.
well, what I recall, or at least what I interpreted from what he was saying, was that they had sort of interpolated where the line from our map was on there. And then they also showed what their topography survey.
Maybe
But
what
he
these two
also,
lightly dashed lines are, we can't really see.
Yeah, I think I don't know if these represent the 20% grade down through there, I don't know exactly, and this isn't, like you say, interpolated. So,
yeah,
I don't know what it means.
You get a 130-foot deep line, and every time it comes in, this is what, you can build everything I want to build in the 30 feet beyond the 100.
you know, if they want a little fishing camp, that's fine, but like, who builds a little fishing camp these days on the Belgrade Lakes?
You know, the same thing about all of these slope districts, I'll bet none of these areas have
Are all 20%?
20% slope.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think they put that provision in the section
Right, it's
69.
like sort of a-
It's the one that kind of goes along with, you show me you've got a buildable lot. They're saying, the planning board, when they put the ordinance together originally, said, show me you can meet these standards, and we'll give you a permit to build on that, even though it's resource
Right,
protection, so
right.
but meet these
Right,
4 or 5 requirements.
right. But in this case, unlike that one on Belgrade Stream, you know, they're not planning anything at the,
Mhm.
immediately, they're trying to settle an estate, which is,
But
I don't know how appraisers deal with those kind of issues, because it's gotta come up in other scenarios, not even in the shoreline zone, but like in urban areas where there's zoning, actual zoning, and they're trying to figure out what part of a, you know, what, say a bigger lot, what parts in, say, industrial versus residential or something.
Well, the issue of, the part where, Jay Bradshaw and his group came in, I was looking at this map here, and I can see where, say that came down a little further, and we might say that, this is, if I scale that off, that's 40 feet from the end of the shoreline zone.
Mhm.
The resource, the slope district, slope really begins at, 20 feet from the back. I could see where they could deal with that, but I think with it, the issue of this one here, it's pretty clear that it shows it in resource protection. So they can't interpret that, this piece right there is clearly shown as resource protection. That's not interpreting it, so I don't think this is a Board of Appeals.
Yeah, no, that would,
Right, I think,
I think, especially having heard what you guys saw, I'd have to now agree with the MMA opinion, where I had some questions about it before, but, Peter, were you planning to go to the select board meeting, or, no, you said you were gonna meet with Carrie, right, or, no, I can't remember what you said.
yeah, I said I would go and ask for volunteers, see if anybody else wants to go from this board.
What day is the select board meeting?
If I remember correctly, I think it said the 18th. Does that sound right?
Yep.
That's
That's a
that's Tuesday,
Tuesday?
right?
I'm not gonna be around on that day,
I wish I were.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that. Do something fun.
Sure. I know I won't be around the day before. Oh, actually, oh, I should be, that's a Tuesday, no, wait a minute. Not next Tuesday, right?
No.
Tuesday after.
Tuesday, yeah.
Oh, I don't know what my schedule is. I was gonna say if it was next Tuesday, I could make it, but
Well,
I'll
I'll
have to
go.
look- I'll
If
have to
anybody
look.
can go, that'd be great, you know.
I'll check, Peter. I mean, I didn't go to the site, but, you know,
Well, it sounds like if we, you know, if we're looking at, for the applicant to tell us through information we can gain by having a survey, sufficient survey information, that they can have a buildable lot somewhere, to demonstrate that.
the
Right?
fact of the matter is that we proceed down the road, you know, the select board says, amend the ordinance, amend the map. We would only be able to do it to the extent that they provide us with the information from their
Right, right.
topographical survey. And so that would be an important point to make, which I'm sure they would be willing to do, but, because, I mean, I don't know. I assume we would probably go back to James Sewell, even though the software is out of date. I don't know if the town would have to bid that or how they handle it.
That is a hellacious thought, actually.
Yeah.
Not Sewell, but like how to proceed going forward, knowing that the original information is used software that seems to be out of date.
But, great.
So say the applicant says, sure, we'll survey it, we'll get you, you know, foot, you know, contours and stuff, so you'll have, you know, exact information. You come in and they say, yeah, you have a buildable lot right here, boink.
We'd still have to amend the ordinance.
Right, so,
But, go ahead, I'm sorry.
so I just wanted to make sure, are we on the, kind of think about this the right way? If they provide information, we have to amend the ordinance, which means we have to amend the map.
Mhm.
Can that be done later? Or, I don't see how. I mean, in other words, could we permit them to do something without having amended the ordinance, you know, fully?
We don't vote on the amendment or the ordinance. I mean, we vote on it, but we don't change
Yeah,
it.
it's
The
not-
townspeople, so we can't give them full assurance.
Yeah, no, we can't, yeah, it's the town meeting that approves it, not us, and then DEP has to approve it too.
So therefore, no matter how much detailed information we have that might prove helpful to the applicant in terms of buildability, right? There's nothing quick about what they want to do.
No, I mean, you know, they could take a calculated risk and say, okay, we know the planning board's working on this, and this is what they're gonna propose. But, you know, who knows, you know, maybe there's who knows what happens when it goes to the voters is, I mean, likely it would pass, but you never know.
Right, exactly.
And then, you know, I don't know, Rich, you would know how DEP would review these kind of things, but I don't imagine there'd be a problem there, but maybe there would.
And probably wouldn't be a problem, because we probably wouldn't approve any, even as a planning board, put something forth that we felt went against the DEP guidelines.
Right.
Right.
I think if we approved it, we'd probably get approved, because
I mean-
we'd be approving it based on the ground information.
Well, here's a question, I don't know if anybody knows, Peter Sargent might know, but is there anything in the new guidelines that impacts on the definition of a resource protection slope district?
No, the resource protection slope district is, well, actually, the slope district itself, this special resource protection district was established by the town. The DEP guidelines don't have something called a resource protection slope
Oh,
district.
okay.
But slope is one of the criteria for resource protection, so.
Oh,
it's
okay,
just
so
a
it's 6 of one,
different-
half dozen of the
different way
other.
of dealing with it.
Yeah,
But I don't think there's any change there, it's still the 20%. The only, when we do amend the ordinance, or, you know, the shoreline zoning ordinance, using the guidelines, new guidelines as a basis, the one thing we could do in resource protection, I know is a change, is that only high-value freshwater wetlands now require the resource protection district, whereas it used to be moderate and high value. That's a separate issue.
So no matter what, I'm thinking that when we go because I'll go to the select board meeting.
If I happen to be around, which right now I got plans to be out, I'll come too.
Okay, thanks, but
I
I
will-
appreciate that.
I'll check, I just don't know.
Yeah, understood. Everybody has a life, to lead outside of, doing planning board stuff, so it's understood. But, we'll meet with the select board, we know that the applicant will wanna get something, we have to express the fact that any amendment to the shoreline zone map requires a process. That process requires time and money. And, I think, for the applicant, if they can provide detailed information through survey, that there is a buildable lot right there, and they can present to us, we can have some agreement on it, but we can't authorize much, and we can let them know that. If they want, 100% assurances that having information about a buildable lot will result in an amendment to the shoreline zone map, it's likely that it would go through, but it does take time, and it has to get voted on by the townspeople, so. That's the bottom line,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
okay?
Any further discussion here?
I know, really.
I'll put this back.
All right,
and we can
thank
go
you.
on to the next one, I guess,
Thanks. And then, George, is that okay? We'll go to the next item?
Oh, yeah. I think we keep that business.
Yeah. But it's good stuff, because that was a weird one. By the way, I found a draft, letter that goes to the CEO. I have it around. I'm gonna give that to you right now. I'll also try to find it. That one did not have the CC to the select board. Remember, you recall, in my original draft did not have a CC, but in the circulation, we do want. The next item is, discussion of what's gonna, how is it phrased? Discuss and finalize the announcement for the public informational meeting. Any plans that pertain to that meeting, probably pertain to that meeting. So far what we have, Gary, does the select person, they know that we're moving ahead, right, with the commercial review ordinance stuff?
You must be, you guys present it to them, right?
Yep. And so, okay, so we have this. George, thank you for all your input on these items, I really appreciate that. Rich, I think you had something to add.
Pardon me?
I think you had input on one of these two, I can't remember what it was though. Right now.
Actually, I don't think I did.
No.
I'm sorry, George had commented, and I thought pretty good, so I put it that.
So basically there are two things. One is the highlights of substantive changes to the ordinance. That's the second page. And the first one kind of summarizes some stuff about what we're doing, or what has happened. Is there anything else? What else do we need to do?
Well,
Actually,
this will be the email notice to the people on, I guess, the same mailing list that's used for the select board meetings, is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and do you have that?
And,
I talked to Howard. He said he can get it to me. I don't know when, because I think he's on vacation right now.
Naturally.
But I think Mary's entire contact list got sent to Carrie. That's what Barbara said. I don't know if that's true, so I'll ask
Yeah.
Carrie tomorrow. Because I was just
my
told that
wife
today.
gets those emails about the select board meetings, and it came from Carrie this time, for the first time, not Mary, of
All right.
course, and the list looked pretty similar to the one that Mary had. There might be a few names that are different, but,
So I'm thinking Carrie might be able to email it
Yeah.
out instead.
so there's that, and then, I think it would be helpful for people to also get these sort of bulleted summary at the same
Yeah.
time. So that would be another attachment. And the question that I raised at the bottom of the page was, whether or not we want, or
it's even feasible to have copies of the draft ordinance available for people to pick up at the town office or at the meeting, or maybe both, I don't know. Because, you know, some people will look at it online, but they're not gonna print it out. And others may not, you know, have the capability, I don't know. Well, I don't know, the people on that, it's, you know, that, the email list doesn't include some key people that I think if Mary was here would have received it, like, Mike Hammond. And I don't know how to reach people like that, but, you know, that I think legitimately, you know, should get a copy, would be interested.
Agreed.
I do
So-
agree that paper copies should be available, if people pick up or whatever,
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
at the town office.
Yeah.
Even if
Can't
it's just a
expect
limited
them to
number.
Understand the ordinance unless they can read it. And
Yeah.
Some people, like I said, don't read that, and I probably just wanted to, you know, put it this way, if Marshall wasn't around, I wouldn't be on the computer, because I wouldn't even own one.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody's got a printer either, so, and like I said, not everybody wants to print out a really large document like that, which I can't really blame.
I agree, we should have some printed out. So, Nick, printing this out, and I prefer color, that way
Okay.
people can see edits and stuff.
So
So,
that was a real problem. You may recall, I had asked Mary to print out a version in color. And the town, if I understand correctly, doesn't have a color printer.
They have one, and it's in
Oh.
Carrie's office, I believe.
Oh, okay.
so here's the deal. We need to know if we can print in color in Carrie's office.
Okay.
Yes or no? If the answer is no, fine. Let's spend some money, we'll go somewhere else and print it in color. I don't care where,
Okay.
right? Some place reasonable.
Are you okay with it being double-sided?
Funds, right?
We have some funds,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we have some funds.
I don't remember how many copies I was gonna have made, but the cost was, at Staples was gonna be over $100, and I was damned if I was gonna spend $100 out of my pocket to have color copies made.
Right, right.
Are you okay with it being double-sided? Double-sided?
Like how it is now?
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate because you print less paper. So that's the goal. The goal is to get it printed and possibly limited number for the meeting on the 20th, right? And for some copies to be here. Okay?
Any certain amount?
Yes, so limited number, let's just toss some numbers around. I think if we had 20 for the town and,
25, 20.
okay,
Yeah.
that sound reasonable? I'm just trying to guess, I'm really guessing.
I suspect more of them that are at the town office will be picked up than the number that people
Show up here.
will show up for the meeting. So you have a smaller number here.
True. We think 10 for the town meeting and say
Yeah.
25 for
Yeah.
the town?
Yeah, something like that.
Does that make sense, Nick? So 10 for our meeting,
Yep.
25 for the town, so
Town
people can pick
office,
them up
yeah.
and go.
Yep.
And I am really sensitive to the town's budget for printing.
Yeah.
And I don't know what our planning board's allowance right now is for printing, but if we have, I think we have some money in one or two funds that we could use, whether it's postage or whatever, incidentals. I'd like to be able to use that if possible,
Okay.
okay? So in other words, I don't want to bust the budget for the town to get this done. We'll use our budget if
Okay.
we need to. Okay?
Gotcha.
All right, thank you. Anything else we need to talk about relative to this thing?
No, Nick, you or Carrie are gonna send out the notice and the bullets, is that,
That's what I'm gonna try to do, yeah.
okay?
Definitely.
I think it'd be
And-
good if we could get that out, what's the, like, you know, a week in advance or something like
Okay,
that.
so next
people have-
Thursday?
Yeah, a week in advance of the 20th.
Alright.
Don't you think
Peter, so that people have a little bit of
Absolutely.
notice and more likely that they might show up.
And do you guys want it in the newspaper?
The announcement in the newspaper?
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to, actually, if we're gonna have an informational meeting.
Oh, are we?
I think it's like a 3 days. You got to have it in there. for
Okay, so
3
yeah, I
days
guess we have to
before.
meet
Yep.
whatever legal requirements. I'm not sure anybody else read it, but let's see.
But,
Unless it's next to some yard sale announcement or
I
something.
know, really. But that's okay, and if they don't wanna read it, they don't have to, but we can still meet the letter of the law.
Yeah. that's true.
Anything else about those two items?
Well, I guess the only other thing is to talk, or I don't know about talk, but think a little bit about how you want to run that meeting.
Yeah. So, cause that's the only item on that meeting, right? So in some ways, if anybody shows up, say one person shows up, right? Maybe they'll come in and they'll be sitting there.
Well, I bet you Jack Sutton comes,
I bet he does
Yeah.
too.
and
There'd probably be a few. Yeah.
My sense is to go over the substantive changes that are in the bulleted document.
yeah, that's what I would focus on, just like we did with the select board, and
Yep,
then leave it open to questions.
yeah.
Now, Jack was at the select board, and a
Right.
number of other people were too, so I don't know, maybe they didn't show up. but-
I guess another thing we could do, if needed, just so you know, is spoke with Kathy Wall to see to give her progress on what we've done so far with this.
Right, I understand it was a meeting of two.
It was meeting too. Remember, we have our checklist. Checklist from the comprehensive plan is the various.
Things we need to address.
Right. We can say that as we go along with substantive changes, we could point to where it's being addressed, where those items have been addressed. So, do we have a way to equate a bulleted item to a section?
Comprehensive plan?
You know what,
No, on the ordinance.
Not on the way it's printed now, but I had, I think I might have it at home still, I don't think I threw it out. I had a copy that I had put like page numbers on, where the different, assuming the page numbers haven't changed,
Right.
which they almost always seem to. Sort of a cross-referenced, so that if a question came up, I could refer to that.
It could be, if you could find it, that would be
Yeah, I'll try.
helpful. If you can't, that's okay too, but the reason why I'm asking about it is inevitably, someone will ask a question and we'll be like, holy crap, and then
Yeah.
we're kind of
Fumbling through, trying to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
where we did it.
So to minimize the fumbling.
Yeah, if at all possible, but. And maybe that's a lesson learned for the next ordinance review, to know where substantive changes are made when we have a finalized product, say, this stuff here is found on this page over here. At least be able to trace it back somehow.
Yeah, I'll try to find that, have it at the meeting, so that if a question comes up.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, that can be our strategy, and maybe there's something better, I'm sure someone can think of something better, but
So a very minimalist kind of presentation, and then open it up to questions.
I think so. We don't have charts or anything really. The only other thing we would have really is that big spreadsheet that says,
Oh, before I forget, Nick, I think I said this, but I'm spazzing out here. Could Mike Hammond or Don Hammond from Hammond Lumber be added to that mailing list?
Yes, I'll make sure it's added.
Because I think that would be important. I think politically it would be important, as well as they like to stay on top of that stuff.
very much so.
Because I know that Belgrade Business, Regional Business Group will be getting a copy, because I noticed, I can't remember her name now, Valencia, who's the chair of that, is on that mailing list, so those people will get it, those businesses will get it.
This is the check.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Craig, so in this one, the ordinances are listed this way, concerns are listed in rows. So where an ordinance here addressed a certain concern here, there's a mark, so you can find it and say, oh, yeah.
That left-hand column is actually the different recommendations of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, 'cause- yeah, that's a good point, because it all goes back to,
Which the townspeople do.
Which the townspeople.
all right, we'll do the minutes next time. Last thing I want to make sure is that Nick has, whatever email address that you want him to use when, for you to be contacted.
I noticed that Carrie's email to the planning board or whatever about showing up at the town, at the selectmen's meeting,
Yeah.
it wasn't an updated, it certainly wasn't the current planning board list. It had
Right.
Steve Foster on it.
Right, and it
Right.
excluded Peter.
Yep.
And what excluded it?
That email originally excluded Peter.
Yeah. So, we want to make sure that she has the correct list, so.
Yeah. But in terms of the email that Nick sent out, mine's correct.
Okay, so George's is correct.
Mine must
You
have
got
been,
it,
because
so
I,
it's-
yeah, yeah.
is it Marsh, Baker,
Mars Bacon,
Mars.
roadrunner.com, yeah.
and,
I was getting emails all week.
okay, and I'm assuming then, Sean is probably, I don't even know if Sean was on there.
I can't remember.
All right, so here's the thing. There should be at least seven email addresses on there. So if there are less than seven, that's a problem. Right? So it should be Pete Sargent, Peter Rushton.
Mine should be on that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got yours.
Exactly.
I got yours.
Roger DeRozier,
Roger DeRozier. The 5 and 2 planning board members, the CEO should be on there. My primary one should be the P.E. Rushton at roadrunner.com.
Yeah, change that.
Secondary could be my work one, but want to make sure that that's the
Yep.
case, okay? And I think that's it.
Well, that's why Steve Foster always comes up to me and says, what the hell was that thing I saw on the planning board was discussing something? That's where he's seeing it, he's still.
Probably.
He's still getting it.
Yeah.
It's, So,
Remove Steve Foster if he's on there.
and that's the Allison, it says Allison something.
Okay.
So it doesn't say Steve, in other words.
But that is Steve's.
It's Allison LLC or
Something
something.
like that, so you gotta take it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, Allison, that's what I would Steve.
Yeah.
Are only board members allowed to get the agenda through email?
I don't know if they're allowed, but that's, our practice is
Okay.
to go that way.
Because Mike's asked for it, Mike Barrett's asked for it, and stuff like that. It's okay to email. it.
Sure.
Okay.
It's all public information.
Mike Barrett, the chair of the
Oh.
select board. Ernie asked for it.
No problem. We want to keep them informed. We'd
Okay.
love to have him show up. I know he's a busy guy. He's
Who wanted to call?
Barrett.
Michael Barrett.
Oh, yeah, that's appropriate.
Yeah. All right, anything else for tonight? Okay. Let's
Set the
wrap,
cost in an hour.
let's wrap this thing up. 10:18. Stick a fork in it. It's done.
It's a record or what?
10:18 p.m.
Everything